Oh, there we go. My hacky audio solution playing it from my phone. Welcome to episode 25 of Tech Over Tea. I'm, as always, your host, Brody Robertson, and this week's guest is a... let's see, I wrote it down. I had a script that I wrote down and I just forgot to read it and started ad-libbing. Anyway, this week's guest is a trucker and he has a live show over on MSP Waves called Bonehead Media. Bonehead Media Live. Welcome to the show, Uncle Bonehead.
What's happening?
That's about as much of a train wreck as you can expect from this show. I plan stuff out and then I just do something different when I actually start. But hey.
Oh, I know how it is. Trust me.
The podcast is where I just do whatever I want. I don't plan this stuff properly.
See, the good thing about podcasts is you can do editing and doing it live. You're screwed right out of the box.
Oh, absolutely. I just realized I'm also using the wrong versions of my scenes. Whatever.
Oh, no.
No, I darkened the background a little bit, so it's not that bad. Obviously, like the webcams are still in the same place. It just doesn't look as good. It's fine, though. I'll fix it. Maybe in post, if I feel like it. Probably won't.
You're like me. Don't edit.
Yeah, well, basically the only time I edit is... There was one time where I accidentally showed a password on the screen. I was like, probably shouldn't show that one.
I did an episode of the Self-Hosted Podcast. This was actual edited. I didn't even realize it, and I put it up on PeerTube and had it on Library and ThreeSpeak, and I didn't even. It was all about how to sign up for Hive. Didn't even realize that my private keys were showing, and it was up for like almost a month, and I'm like, woo, I should take that down.
Yeah, lucky. This is one of the times where I'm sure you're really happy that you don't have a super popular content, because that would be real bad.
Exactly. I quickly replaced it when I realized it.
Just on the off chance that anyone paid attention to that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still trying to get signed into the library.
It's still not happening. It seems to be fine on my end. I've got the desktop app open just fine, but is Library TV having some problems?
It's looking like it. It's
okay.
Oh, now we got success. Yay.
Woo. I don't know why you were trying to get logged in anyway.
I just wanted to look in on it. I hadn't looked at it for a while. It's on my other partition, on my Arco Linux partition, but it's not on the Ubuntu Studio.
Yep.
So I haven't checked into it.
Yeah, I have noticed that it's been like a month since anything went up on that account there. So are you actually uploading your stuff separately now? Or is it just a live show?
Yeah. What I'm doing is, because I'm big on Hive right now, I'm trying to get them, priority for my content. Okay. Then I'm going to do every place else.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Just that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I noticed your podcast feed didn't have anything either.
Yep. Yeah, I did post audio version of the couple of shows.
Okay.
And it's my live show is now 2 hours long, so it's pretty much a pain in the ass to edit, because I play copyrighted music during the show most of the time. Yeah. Okay. So I've got to kind of edit those out. The stuff that I do leave in is either not copywritten or I've got the okay to play it anyways in a podcast. So it's that kind of thing. It's a pain in the ass because I'm only home from Friday night till midday Sunday. And then, my show's Saturday night. Got to squeeze in time to be a dad and a husband and all that stuff too. Yep. So, I'm strapped for time. So it all comes out eventually.
Well, I was going to ask you about how you managed to manage your time, because I did mention the intro just before that you are a trucker, so you work a lot.
Yep. About 50, anywhere from 50 to 70 hours a week.
Jeez, okay. So how do you even find the time to do, is it just the MSP Waves show that you're doing at this point, or are you still doing other shows?
Oh, no. Well, technically it is the MSP Waves. The Self-Hosted Podcast is kind of fading away a little bit. It's because it just started as a way for me to explore how to use Host
Mhm.
for self-hosting your stuff. And that computer that I was using burned up in a puff of smoke,
Mhm.
and I haven't been able to play with it that much. So it turned into more of a checking out decentralized stuff like Hive and BitChute, DTube, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And that's how I got back into library. I remember library when it first came out 3 or 4 years ago, and it was like utter shit. Nobody would ever used it, because it didn't hardly work. And now it's this big, huge, booming thing, and it's awesome.
Yeah. If you
Um,
trust their numbers, they claim that they're the biggest D app right now. I don't know whether that's correct or not.
I honestly, I don't know if it's correct, but I tend to kind of believe it just by the sheer user base of it and the
Mhm.
amount of accounts that are on it. And there's all kinds of YouTube videos about it. I mean, so there's something to it.
Mhm.
They did do it the right way by getting the YouTube sync to get the users to come over. And
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time.
Well, some
The only
competition is better than no competition, that's for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I wish that there was more emphasis on libraries that it does more than just videos.
Mhm. Well, they
You know,
are
people,
working on other stuff right now. They recently released a new toolkit for making blogs on library. It doesn't have a way to uh, easily embed images and videos yet. You still have to write out the HTML tags yourself, but that's supposed to be coming pretty soon. So hopefully blogging comes properly to library, and then hopefully they split it off into its own thing so you can actually find blogs.
is it what would be cool because it's got it is a desktop app.
Mhm.
It's also the protocol. If somebody could cut just like see, I'm not a coder, so I couldn't do this,
Mhm.
and I'm probably talking out of my ass. But if somebody could take the library app itself, the
Mhm.
desktop app and the Android app, and just copy it over and tweak it to where it showed blogs instead of videos, and it would be so simple.
Well,
And
all they would really need to do, you could do it with the existing library app. You just need to say, tag it as a blog, and then just have like a separate blog tab or something like that. And just, then you can
right.
easily go through blogs like that. Because I do like, as, it's not a secret that I don't particularly like Hive or Steemit or any of those platforms like that. I have my problems with the way they're set up. But what I do like about them is I do like blogging.
Right. I that's what I like the most about library is that you could theoretically, if you was to do it right, you could make your own. It could be your website,
Mm-hmm.
or you're from your desktop app,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what's the coolest thing about me. Sorry, I just got distracted. DistroTube has got a new video up. I was checking out the DT's awesome. I like
Oh,
Derek.
yeah. I really do want to get him on the show at some point. I've DM'd him a couple of times back when my show was tiny, and he said he'd be happy to do it. But I was just like, when my show had like 500 subscribers on library, I was like, I feel like I'd just be leeching off of you just bringing you on the show at this point.
I know that feeling. Sorry if you could hear that. Discord bot just went nuts.
Oh, I didn't notice anything.
Okay, I didn't know if it came through or not. I got the beep 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 beep
Yeah,
beep. It knows. It's annoying.
yeah, a little bit. I think I saw. I didn't watch the video that DT put up just before, but wasn't it something about Linux package management or something like that?
Linux fails and it's holding us back. The biggest
Yeah,
failure of Linux is package management.
I think that was something about. Judging by what people said on Mastodon, I think he's shilling for Flatpaks. So
I'm not a flatback fan.
I don't. He's got it tagged as app image, so maybe he's shilling for app images. I don't know. I haven't watched the video, so
I like app images and I like the snaps, but snaps still have a problem for me because they take forever to open.
mm-hmm.
And if I want that, I'll use my Android. Because that shit opens like I can hit the open button and I can go brew a pot of coffee and then come back and maybe it'll be open. But they're cool in concept.
Yeah.
But the app images, they just work.
I haven't even bothered
At least
looking
on
into app
mine.
images yet. I really should do that.
At least on my machines.
Yeah.
I've got a Dell, I don't know what this, Spirion.
Oh, yeah.
It's an i3 with 16 gigs RAM. And for an i3, it does everything I need it to do, but I need to go back to my i5.
Mhm.
Got to have RAM for it.
Yeah, I'm running something a little bit more powerful than that. I've got my Ryzen 3600X, which it could be overkill, but also I don't want to wait like a couple hours to render my videos, so... Because Caden Live doesn't have GPU rendering for whatever reason.
I've gotten into using Shotcut here lately, and I like Shotcut. It's different. It's, for my workflow, it's a lot easier. What I end up doing is I use VidCutter, and I'll go through and I'll cut out stuff that I want to keep, and then just stitch that together in Shotcut, throw in a couple transitions, and Viola, I got a video.
You don't do too much editing, but you do way more than I do with your stuff.
It's not super good. But I like trying to cut out as much bloopers as I can.
Yeah.
And then maybe put the bloopers at the end or make it so whole thing. Used to, back when I was in the centralized media stuff, on Instagram, I would do like, because you can only do like 1 minute videos. And I would just do short, funny, stupid jokes and shit. And I just stitched them all together and put them up either on YouTube. I got a couple on Library. And those are fun to do in the truck because they're short, and fast, and they did get a lot of reactions, but it's a trucker thing, I guess.
You must have been off Instagram for quite a while because you can do longer videos on Instagram now. You've got
have it?
Yeah, you've got Instagram TV now, which is I don't know what it's supposed to be. It's like a long form vertical video for some reason.
Really? Why?
I don't know. But because it's the Instagram crowd, it has to be very punchy like it is a 1 minute video. So it's hard to make good content that actually fits into that sort of ecosystem.
Right. Well, I deleted my Instagram not long after, I think it was like episode 8 of the Self-Hosted Podcast. And I started the Self-Hosted Podcast a little over 1.5 years ago. So it was episode 8. I was doing them weekly then. So it was right about 1 year ago when I deleted the Instagram.
You're not really missing out on much. There's not really much going on Instagram.
I didn't think I was. I have a post. I'm still on Mastodon. I haven't actually posted on Mastodon for a while. My biggest problem with social media, period, is everybody thinks that opinion is a fact.
Yeah.
And I can't deal with that.
Yeah, there's too many people who are in their own little world as if they are the center of the universe. And sorry?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I try to avoid getting into discussions with people. I will post something on, like, Mastodon, Twitter, whatever, and then I just leave. So maybe I'll go and reply to people who reply to me, but I won't join in on other people's conversations. Like, I genuinely don't care. Just go do whatever you want.
Do a little drive-by posting.
Pretty much.
Now, I had somebody tell me to try Gab.
And
I'm like, okay, I'll give Gab a try. I was literally on Gab for less than 24 hours before I deleted my post, my account. All I did was make one post about a truck stop with a great restaurant in Arkansas, saying that it was a great restaurant, home-cooked meal. And they called you there.
They said that you were a Jew and you were being paid by Soros.
Kind of. The only comment was Trump is a racist and you're a Nazi. And I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with a restaurant in Arkansas? And I deleted it. And it's just like, seriously, dude. God.
I guess I must just be thinking of BitChute. Because I'll find some of my BitChute comments. Like some of them are so bad.
I am on BitChute, and I haven't posted anything for
Oh, there you go.
ever. But I do have a friend of mine that does a daily radio show on BitChute. And he literally, all he's doing is literally, it's very radio format. He'll play a couple of songs, say something, and play more songs. And it's an hour long every day, Sunday through Monday. And he literally gets some of the dumbest emails and comments. But he's got like 500 or 600 people that subscribe to him or whatever. He used to actually run 3 radio stations on Radionomy.
Yeah.
And he was big. I mean, he had an average of 4,000 listeners an hour. And this, the shit he gets on BitChute just cracks me up. And I think he just turns it into a trigger show sometimes. Just to trigger people.
Okay, I found one of my... I had to go back because BitChute only shows you your last 3 notifications. So I did a video about the Windows Package Manager, and the first comment I got on that was, I wonder if Bill Gates' forced vaccines will need as many updates as this piece of shit Windows. And I have other ones that were like asking if I'm a Jew because I talk about proprietary software.
Wow. Okay. It's like, that's got anything to do with it.
I love BitChute just because the comments are just always terrible. There's not a single good comment on this platform.
No, it's almost as good as YouTube comments.
I actually do like the YouTube hater comments because once you start thinking about those people as just really sad people who have nothing good going on for them in their lives, you start feeling bad for them.
Yeah, just hanging out in the basement. Just wonder what to do.
Because I know that if you go on Reddit and you check someone's comment history, if you find someone who's just being a massive ass, most of their other comments are them being an ass. YouTube, though, you can't go back and check people's comment history. I bet if you did, though, you would see exactly the same thing. Oh.
It is very sad.
It is, but what are you going to do? At least library's typically better when you get comments on there, but most people don't really comment just because notifications aren't a thing yet. Soon, TM. Soon. Eventually, maybe. You get distracted again?
Yeah. I was looking for the analytics. Would they move? Come on, you stupid. There it is. It's up to 164 followers.
For what one?
Probably be if I'd actually post stuff on there. It's just... My most viewed content is still the best coronavirus memes.
Of course, yep.
And I think that's because of Michael H. His song. I used his song for the music.
Oh, on library.
I love that song. I got it on my phone. It's a great song to be running 75 mile an hour down the road listening to because the dude can really play guitar really, really good. And then Jesus Christ, Discord.
Oh, you broke again? Likes to do that.
No, it's the stupid bot.
Oh. What is this? What is this Discord bot you keep talking about?
And there's in one of the Hive servers, Discord servers, they've got a bot that for tweets they go out for a certain keyword. And apparently there was a shitload of them just then.
So, I've got some topics on here. So, why exactly... Oh, what actually got you to Hive? Like, how did you end up discovering Hive, and what made you decide that you want to start putting content on that?
I'm going to blame Scott C. Business. No, it's Scott and Bryce Crypto, Girl Gone Crypto. I've been watching them for a long, long time on YouTube. And Scott's always talking about, getting into the crypto thing. And I hit him up a couple of times, talked to him. And I was just looking to get into something. And I wasn't really interested in crypto for the monetary thing,
Sure.
but I wanted to get into the social media and the dApps and all that. The library was technically my first, sorry for hitting the mic, was technically my first crypto love.
Mm.
Because I've never had any experience. You don't have to have any experience. Boom, you're getting crypto just by using it.
Mm-hmm.
And Hive is basically the same way. Interactions earns you the crypto. And I was kind of tossing between Steemit and Hive, and it was at the same time that their major hard fork was going on. And I was like, well, I've read about what Justin Sun did and kind of his asshat move with Steem. And from everything I read about Hive being open source and there's like no CEO and everything, I was like, well, this more aligns with my philosophy. And so I joined it and kind of just hung out on it. Didn't really do anything for a while. And then it's just like a month or two ago, it was like, I'm going all in. I'm just going to make my content, not exclusively, but priority.
Yeah.
And because I still like library. I want to be on library. It's just that I'm getting so much time consumed learning about stuff and doing stuff that what I like the most about Hive is that you basically have I think of it like an RSS feed, like a podcast.
Right.
You got the blockchain, that's your RSS feed. And it doesn't matter what front end you're on, whether it's 3Speak, Hive.blog, PeakD, whatever, that content comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what you're actually using, you're still getting the content and you're still able to interact with everybody else. And once that clicked in my head, the decentralization isn't the app, the decentralization is the user.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was like, dude, I like this better than Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, all that stupid shit that just turns us into products.
So Hive's got itself set up in a position that library keeps claiming that they're in, where they're they have a decentralized system, but they only have their one app. Hive already has the existing interfaces that you can connect to the same blockchain with.
Right. See, the biggest problem I see with the library is that it is just the one thing.
It can be the same thing Hive does. The problem is they don't have that.
But nobody else is doing it. It's like everybody's relying on Library Inc. to provide that stuff. And for me, it seems like they're the governing thing over everything. Mm-hmm. But technically, they're not. Anybody can go make their own version of library.tv that they want. Or they can, as long as they're using the library protocol, everything will show up. But my problem is nobody else is doing it.
That actually does lead into this. I'll come back to this in a bit, but there actually is another thing that is popping up. But we'll stay on the Hive story for just a bit. So,
okay.
I've talked about why I don't particularly like Hive or Steemit. They both have the exact same problem. And this is why I don't think they're ever going to become anything more than little niche platforms. Obviously, they're great as that. But the problem they have is they have too many keys. And no one wants to deal with all the keys.
Right. I understand that. The thing about the keys, though, you don't need all of them all the time.
Sure.
To interact on Hive, you really only need your posting key. If you want to do something with your wallet, like, trade crypto or whatever, or convert, you got to have your active key. Mm-hmm. And your owner key is not supposed to be used for anything unless, except for account recovery. Mm-hmm. So it's like a password, super user, and a master.
Yeah.
Then there's another key called the memo key. That's basically just for encryption of messages. So if people didn't focus on having all these keys, they just wrote them down and saved them somewhere, preferably not on their computer in a plain text file, and just wrote them down on a piece of paper, just like any other kind of transaction for crypto. They're responsible. You're responsible for your own protection.
Yeah, I get it from like that side, but when I'm thinking about someone who's a bit less techie, someone who, yeah, well, you dived headfirst into it, but people who are sort of like, they use a computer, but they don't really pay too much attention to like what they're actually using. Those are the sort of people where I think won't really understand the difference between these keys and why you need all these keys. And I know people who just forget their passwords just every other day. Like, it's a great system, but outside of the very techie people or people like you who dive headfirst into it, I don't think it's really going to expand outside of those groups.
Excuse me. I understand that. And, like with library, okay, yeah, you got to have the password, but you also got to have an email to do that. You don't have to have an email anywhere to have Hive. All you got to do is get those keys. Once you get those keys, those are the only 4 things that you have to get around and interact with anything in Hive. Like if somebody was to make another like library.blog.
Yeah.
You'll have to have a different password for that. Correct?
Yeah, I believe the current login system is centralized with Library Inc.
Yeah. See, that's, to me, that's not decentralized because you're relying on somebody else to keep your password in a database, encrypted or not. But when you got the keys, you're relying on that.
Oh, I'm not arguing that Hive is not Hive is much more decentralized than Library is at this point, but yeah, it's going to have some hurdles to come over.
To me, that's the selling point to me.
Sure, yeah.
My security is in my hands, not some company, whether it's Library Inc. or whether it's Google Alphabet, whatever their central. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
it's even with like Mastodon and PeerTube and all that. Yeah, it's decentralized because it's federated, but you're still relying on somebody else if you're not hosting your own instance.
Yeah.
So you're relying on somebody else. To me, that's not the definition of decentralized.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. And if you can get people to understand this distinction and understand like the usefulness of the keys and I guess what the uses of the keys are, you can branch out a bit. But as I said, I think that's a pretty massive hurdle to overcome. For the people who are really interested in decentralized stuff, it's going to be a great choice. And I think it's always, at least in the techie crowd, it's always going to have a position there. And I think it will expand pretty much as it can inside that crowd. And anyone who has any interest in decentralization as well.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience that being 50 years old and half a century old and not hardly knowing anything about computers, but I have been into Linux since 2010.
Yep.
I'm the kind of person that will open a terminal and copy paste commands on not knowing what the hell they do. I have done the RM command in a terminal one time just to see what it did. I reinstalled. But I'm planning on doing that live on the show one of these days, as soon as I get a captain card, because I've got this Chromebook sitting over here running Gallium OS.
Oh, yep.
I just want to fuck with it live on the show. Just for that.
You can get some pretty cheap like USB capture cards. There's one for like $30 you can get that a couple of people are using.
I've seen Eposvox. How do you pronounce his
I
name?
think it's Epos Fox, yeah.
He he did a couple of reviews of a couple that was really cheap, and they actually worked. He was
Well,
pretty
yeah, that's
surprised.
always good.
So I'm gonna get one of those and just have fun, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But not knowing how stuff works, and when it comes to the internet, but I understand how things get hacked and people are lax. Believe me, I've got friends that think Facebook is the greatest thing ever, and I've also got friends, older friends that are like, "What the hell is Facebook?"
Mhm.
And I try to explain to them that they're not private. They say they're private, but your shit's you're a product. And eventually, though, they're slowly starting to understand, because they'll go out car shopping or something, and then they come home and get on Facebook and look, oh, there's a Dodge ad
Mhm.
or Chrysler ads and GM ads all over Facebook. And then they'll go to the store, to the grocery store, and they come home and there's Scope and toothpaste ads. And they're like, gee, these guys must be really good. I was just looking for that. And it's like, no, you were tracked.
Yeah, everyone my age already understands. Like, if you have your phone anywhere near you, it's probably listening to your conversation. And if you talk to your friends about something, you're going to get an ad for it.
Yep. And then, they do the, hey, Google, and think it's the greatest thing ever. It's like, dude, no, don't talk to that thing. But if they can understand that they got to have passwords to do this, that, and the other, they can understand they got to have the keys to navigate around Hive. And once they figure out that they only got to have those 4 keys, and one of them is the only one that they got to have all the damn time, they'll get it.
Sure. Okay.
Eventually. But eventually, like, it's like everything else. Like, Mastodon, I thought Mastodon would be huge by now.
Yeah.
But it's still not. And the number one reason is you got to host it yourself. Well, if you want to really be decentralized.
I don't think that's the reason why it's not taken off. I think Hive actually does have this problem as well. It's sort of a problem with decentralization. People are sort of too used to like a centralized entry point. So having all of these different points of entry, it ends up confusing those people who aren't very techie. You can obviously train people to be used to that, but when people are used to going to youtube.com to watch videos, when you say, hey, you want to go to PeerTube, you have to go to that specific PeerTube instance that has the videos you want to watch. Or if you want to go to Twitter, it's Twitter. But if you want to do Mastodon, it's all of these different instances of Mastodon.
Right. They don't understand all the federation part of it. But the biggest problem is, like you said, they're used to the centralization, because that's what they've been trained to do over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And that's what we've come to expect, is we get free shit. And when they figure out that they got to pay for a server from GoDaddy or HostGator or whatever to put an instance up, they're like, I got to pay for that? What are you, nuts? And that's the problem. They seem to think that the internet is free, and it's not. It never was. Somebody's paying for it somewhere, and you're paying for it somewhere, usually with your data and your life.
I hope it's not too much of my life. I kind of need that one.
Well, what I meant is by your lifestyle.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Not your flesh and blood, but
not yet, at least.
Well, it could be on the dark web. I haven't explored that yet.
Well, with biometrics, you got to pay with your at least party life.
Yeah, you got the fingerprint and the was that the near NFC, the Google Pay, Apple Pay stuff that works in the NFC.
Yeah,
that would be cool, but I don't really know. My screen just went to sleep, so I hope I didn't get out.
Yeah, I don't particularly want to attach my credit card to my phone.
No.
I've lost my phone before. I don't want to do that. That's a bad idea.
Dude, you know how many phones I've gone through in my life driving truck.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
Did you guys have the Nextel phones down there with the push to talk two-way walkie-talkies?
What'd you say
They
it
were like
was?
back
I'll find a picture.
Nextel.
Nextel.
They're now Sprint, I think. But they used to have like a two-way walkie-talkie type thing. It was back in the late '90s, early
Uh,
2000s.
yeah, that's a little before I got a phone.
But I had one of those for work, and I did a lot of back and forth between Grand Rapids and Flint,
Mhm.
hauling auto parts. And I was, just go and drop a trailer and then go. I was talking to the boss on the two-way walkie-talkie on the phone and doing something. I was changing a tail light or something on the truck because I'd already dropped the trailer.
Mhm.
And I just set the phone down on the frame of the truck, got back in the truck and started driving.
Mhm.
I drove like 3 blocks before I started looking for my phone. And I'm like, oh shit. I was lucky enough. I walked back there, and it was still sitting on the inside of the frame rail.
Ooh.
But if I had got on the highway, the thing would have been, little bitty ground up pieces of plastic. But I had one time I was getting out of the truck and I dropped the phone and I was holding it in my hand talking,
Mhm.
and I dropped it, hit the step of the truck, bounced down to the second step of the truck, and then into the snow, like 6 inches of snow. And I had to dig around like I was digging through muddy water looking for it. Found it. And dude, I just last year I broke my LG G6. I've dropped that phone probably 150, 200 times, and it never cracked, never had a problem. But one time I drop it on a gravel parking lot,
Mhm.
and it hits one little rock, and it was almost dark, but not totally dark, and it hit the ground, and I could see the flash of the
Oh.
screen. I'm like, shit. And I'm sitting there, crap, how the hell am I going to call anybody? Because I was all by myself, and it was one of those things.
Mhm.
But I got this OnePlus, and I like this OnePlus.
Is that's your current phone?
Yeah, it's a OnePlus 6T. It's not the latest, but once I get this one paid off, I'm gonna jump up to the 8 because it looks really good.
Yeah, I always buy my phones outright. I always buy like pretty mid-tier phones. This one is a Realme. I don't remember the exact model number. I think this was like 350 Australian, which is probably 280 US, something like that.
Really? I
Yeah,
never heard of that.
it's a Chinese brand, so it's probably stealing all of my data, but I don't know.
Stay off of TikTok.
Oh, I have a few people at work who are like, "Hey, you should get on TikTok," because I work in a supermarket, so there's a lot of younger people there. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
I I've got, I understand, people want to watch TikTok, and yeah, some of it can be funny and entertaining, but probably 80, 90% of it just does not look very interesting.
Well, it's gotten better now that a lot of the comedians have jumped on it. Back when it was just kids dancing and stuff, it was garbage. But then the comedians were like, wait, there's all of these people here, and we're not making content for them.
Yep.
What are we doing?
That would be good. But to me, what TikTok is, the modern day Vine.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is, yeah.
It is. Vine was good, but wasn't all that great with dancing and stupid shit like that. I want to see that. I'll go watch YouTube videos, the fail videos or whatever they're called.
Mm. I haven't really been paying too much attention to what's been happening with TikTok. I know there was the US ban that was being proposed or went through or something. I don't know exactly what happened with that.
It's not banned yet, at least as far as I know. So, there's several different stories. The official story, I guess, is that President Trump was saying that the Chinese government is stealing, data from it, and of course they denied it. and Microsoft says they're going to come to our rescue.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot that Microsoft's going to buy it, aren't they?
Yeah, but the story I hear, because my wife and daughter are big BTS. You know who BTS is, right?
That
The
South Korean boy
Korean
band, yeah.
They BTS Army is the one that got had something to do with, they got Trump from trending or something, or some stupid shit. But anyway, that's the unofficial story that I heard. But that's BTS fans.
Don't keep saying BTS because they'll start commenting on this video.
Yeah, I know. But I just kind of, happy wife, happy life. Just agree with her and go, okay.
I don't know what the deal is with TikTok. It obviously has ties to the Chinese government, because so does every Chinese company. But whether it's a Chinese spying tool, I have no idea. We can't look at the source code, so I couldn't tell you.
No, that's the biggest problem. You can't look at the source code for most shit out there. And even though I can't read code, but at least, if it's there, I feel a lot better because I can look at it.
Sure.
Or anybody can look at it. Somebody that knows what they're doing can look at it. I can look at something and go,
just nod your head and agree.
Exactly. I can just make it look like I know what I'm doing, but that's it. But at least I can see it, so that makes me feel better about it.
Sure. So apparently TikTok won't be banned in Australia after the government deemed it does not pose a national security threat. Probably because we have lots of ties to the Chinese government. We don't really want to piss them off that much. Most of our country is being bought by China, so I could do an entire episode about... There's reasons why Australia doesn't like China, but yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why nobody likes China.
Well, the problem that we have is a lot of our properties and a lot of our land is actually being bought by China.
Okay. I will say one thing: you guys got some awesome shows come out of there, TV, movies. Because I watch a lot of shit on Netflix, because that's what I do.
Sure.
During the week while I'm driving, or not driving, but when I'm getting ready.
Yeah, you're not watching it while you're driving.
Oh crap, I can't think of what the name of it is now. The last one I watched, it was something about a cop in a small town, and people coming back to life.
It doesn't ring a bell to me. I don't watch that many TV shows.
There's several of them that are pretty good, but I'm just weird like that, I guess.
Well, the extent of my... Here's a TV show I have seen. The extent of my knowledge on trucking basically comes from Outback Truckers.
That's a good show.
It is a pretty good show. My stepdad is a massive fan of it. He's got like all the seasons on Blu-ray.
That's always... There's two things I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to go up and drive the ice road. And then I also wanted to come down to Australia and pull one of the big trains, just so I could say I did it. And it just looks like it would be so cool to pull that much weight. I'm big into that. My truck I drive is it's a 2007 Peterbilt 389. It's got a 630 horsepower motor in it with a 18-speed transmission, and that thing will fly. But it's not anything compared to one of the other guys' truck. There's two other guys that have the same kind of truck I've got. One's putting down 943 horsepower, and the other guy is over 1,000.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't know much about cars or trucks, but that sounds like a lot.
It is. There's nothing they can't pull.
So how much does your truck pull then? How much do you normally do?
I'm typically, depends on what day of the week it is, because I'm what quote unquote a local driver, but on Mondays, I'm usually just running local loads around, Western Michigan delivering, or down to Detroit and back delivering. And then the rest of the week, Tuesday and Wednesday, it's a little bit longer, but still in state. And sometimes Wednesday through Friday, I'm out of state,
Right.
2 states away. And later in the week, Wednesday through Friday is usually when I'm close to 80,000 pounds, 40 tons.
Mm-hmm.
And the truck makes quick work of it going up and down the hills. So that's nice. The average truck here in America is somewhere between 350 to about 430 horsepower.
Okay.
So I'm 630, so I'm above average. That's so I can get my weight in and out of the truck.
That definitely will help, won't it?
I'm losing weight.
Just make sure you're always in orange light and wearing black shirts, and you don't even notice.
Dude, I'm 243, so I'm there.
Let's see what that is in kilograms.
I have no idea.
2 kilograms. That is 110. Okay.
I like your number better. 110.
110.223. Sure. Yeah. I think the only thing that I don't use the only thing I use in like the imperial system is for height. I do like feet and inches for height. Most people typically understand that.
Yeah.
But
I just wish they would pick one for everybody.
Yeah, well, that would be nice, but America kind of wants to do their own thing.
I mean, I live here in Michigan, and we're real close to Canada, so we get Canadian trucks and traffic all the time. And you'll see, because our speed limit here in Michigan is 70 or 75 mile an hour.
Yeah.
And you'll see people coming over from Canada they see the 70 number, and they're looking kilometers per hour. Or you'll see the trucks come over, and they're, typically the trucks in Canada are what, 60 kilometers per hour, I think is what the Canadian speed limit is.
So do you realize you're doing 90 kilometers an hour right now?
Yeah. And it's like, dude, you guys need to like slow down. or the Canadian truck will come over and they're trying to do 65 mile an hour, but they're actually doing 60 kilometers an hour. And they're like, dude, you're going to get ran over.
Well, I guess you could get like a speedometer that has a dual thing on it. Like some of the new digital ones, you can switch back and forth.
Yeah, the old analog ones, even the one in my truck's got the kilometers on the scale below it.
Okay, yep.
But you can't really tell because where the needle is at, because you're looking at the point of the needle, where the number's at. And then when you're looking at kilometers, it's down here where it's wider. Yeah. And you're going, am I doing 60 kilometers per hour or am I doing 70?
I guess that's one reason to have your phone on you. You can get like the speed apps, your GPS speed apps. That'll work. It's close enough. You're at least not going to be doing 60 kilometers an hour in a 60 mile an hour zone.
Yeah, I've tried using some excuses with that, but it never works.
Yeah, don't think
I've only gotten like 3 speeding tickets in my life. So one of them was, he was cool because they had just lowered the speed limit. And he was just warning people about it. Another time I got a speeding ticket was actually on my logbook. Back in the old days, we had to have paper logs, whether you were actually driving or on duty, not driving, sleeping, and that kind of thing. Right. And the DOT cop was in Kentucky. She's going through my logbook. And she's like, wow, you drove 180 miles in 2 hours? I'm like, did I? She's like, you marked it down. I guess you're going to have to sit down for 8 hours. I'm like, shit. My third speeding ticket was me and a flatbed was running down the interstate, and we were making good time. And there was this little black Taurus that was running in front of us. And the dude, he'd get out, I'd get out, and then the flatbed would get out. we'd pass everybody, and then he'd move over. We'd all move over. We'd come up on some more traffic. We'd move over and let him out. Boom, boom, boom. It was just awesome for a good half hour, 45 minutes. We were hauling ass close to 80 mile an hour. And we come up on some traffic, and he got caught. The car got caught up in the traffic. I couldn't slow down fast enough to let him out. So me and the flatbed just blew by him. Next thing you know, here comes this black Taurus all lit up with like a Christmas tree with disco lights going here. And it's like, shit. And he pulled us both over, and he comes up and he crawls up in my truck and gets in, and he sits down and he goes, I hated to do that. We were making such good time. He says, but there was just way too many witnesses. But he said he clocked us at 78, 80, and 82 in a 65. And he wrote us for 66 or 67. I don't remember what it was now. But it was only like a mile or two over what he wrote the speed limit for.
Okay, well,
that was in Indiana. If he had wrote it for 15 over in Indiana, it's automatic jail time.
Oh, wow.
In that state, because that's considered reckless driving.
Right, okay.
But he was cool. And then he proceeded to tell me about how he busted one driver for 120 in a 65 one night, like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was interesting. He was a cool cop, though.
I've been pretty lucky with fines. I've never gotten a fine from driving. I did get a warning once because I had one of my brake lights out. But he was like, that's a hard one to test yourself. I guess I can just let you off with a warning. Just get it fixed tomorrow. It's like, okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
The fix-it tickets are cool, but it's still, like on our CDL, that stuff still follows us around.
Yeah.
So the way they've set up the CVSA and the DAC driver, what is it called? Driver Accessibility Committee or whatever. It's a record that follows you everywhere.
Right. Okay.
So like if you get, like a lot of shippers and receivers, they'll load you overweight, and then they'll say, well, take it, we'll pay the fine. And the driver will say, okay. But they don't stop to realize that shows up on your record.
Right.
They don't keep records on shippers and receivers, because the shipper will just say, okay, an overweight ticket, that's going to cost you $200 if you get a ticket. But that's on your driving record. Whether or not they paid for it, that's your points.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of people a lot of drivers here in the States that are they're either too afraid to say no or think they have to do whatever dispatch says. And I've never been that way. I've been driving for 30 years. So a long time ago, I figured out that I'm the one that controls the truck going down the road. And until they have self-driving trucks and my dispatcher can do it from the computer in the office,
we're still a little bit away from that one. So
exactly. Well, they're saying that once the 5G network is all up and everything, that's all we need is the connectivity. But here in the States, I don't honestly see it happening, because you got to get the general public to accept it first. A lot of people's not going to be too excited about 80,000-pound vehicles running down the highway at 70 mile an hour with nobody controlling them.
I reckon for the first couple of years, you're going to have a backup driver in them.
Yep. I think they're probably going to have somebody on board all the time, no matter what, because that stuff's going to break down.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. That's always going to be a big deal as well.
You're going to have an onboard mechanic, because it's not going to be something like on Wall-E, where there's a little cleanup robot that follows him around all the time. They're going to have to have somebody on board, because lights are going to burn out, tires are going to blow, axles are going to break. It's just normal wear and tear on a truck.
So that job would sort of shift from being a driving job to being just a mechanic job, basically.
An on-duty mechanic.
Right.
And you're also going to have to probably be a part-time computer engineer.
Yeah, that as
because
well. Just in case something goes wrong on that front.
shit will get hacked.
That's the biggest worry. Actually, it's not just the trucks going down the road at 80 miles an hour. It's the fact that at any moment, if there is a security breach, it could be hacked.
Yep, and they've already proved that they can hack the self-driving vehicles in a heartbeat. I think, what was it, something simple through a door lock or something they hacked a Ford with? I don't remember.
Let's see.
It was some stupid way they did it, like a Bluetooth connector or something. They were able to get a hold of it.
This hack could take control of your Ford.
It was something stupid simple too.
Using a $300 software-defined radio, a security researcher says he has discovered a way to take control of some Ford. Okay, no, it was through the radio by the looks of it.
Oh, was the radio?
So yeah, they managed to take over an F-150 through the radio. Yeah, that's not a car that I want someone to take over.
I mean, that's a pretty good sized truck.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a pickup truck. I mean, that's what, a quarter ton pickup?
We're only recently starting to actually get those trucks here. Like most of up until a couple of years ago, we were running. Do you know what a Ute is? It's a
Ute.
A Ute, yeah. It's basically a sedan with a flatbed. Okay. It's an Australian thing.
Like it's what we call like almost like an El Camino, which is a car with a pickup bed.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Basically the same thing. Yeah.
I think I've seen some of those around here, but they were all conversions.
So, up until recently, most people have been using those, but our last car manufacturer has pulled out. So we had Holden here, and they were manufacturing in my state. They're now owned by GM and aren't actually making cars in Australia anymore. So I don't think people are they're gonna keep making Utes. So they're like the F-150s and all those other big pickup trucks are now coming into Australia, and nobody knows how to drive them, and our car parks are not big enough for them. Like, you'll see someone roll in with an F-150 and it like goes across 2 of the different car parks. Like, what are you doing? Just get a smaller car. And you always see it's like some housewife that has it as well. It's like, why do you have this?
They got the big Ford Expedition, the big giant SUV. They get in it. They got to have a step ladder to crawl up in it, and then they get in it. And they try to squeeze it into this little itty bitty 6 foot wide space, and it's like, that ain't gonna work, dude.
You know, I'm happy with my hatchback. My hatchback fits everywhere. It's great.
Nothing wrong with that. I've got a Dodge Caravan we've had for probably 6 years, and it's been a good van. It's well over 100,000 miles on it. It's been paid for, and it just runs.
Yep. Yeah, I bought this at I think 140,000 kilometers, which is miles. 86 or nearly 87,000 miles. I bought this at.
Wow, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's a bit of an older car. I think it's a 2001 model, so it's got some years on it, but it still runs perfectly fine.
If it runs and you don't have to have a trash bag and a shovel in the back to pick up the parts along the way, it's a good car.
Yeah, no, when the parts fall off, that's usually my fault. Like when I bump the sidewalk and then I lose one of my hubcaps.
That happens. It happens. My wife, but I got home one time and I was driving the van. I come back in and I'm like, "So what's wrong with the mirror on the passenger side?" She's like, "Whoa." Our garage is a 2-car garage, but they're separate doors.
Yep.
And it's a tight squeeze to get in there. And I know what she did. She caught one of the door jambs on the way in the garage or out, one of the way. I was like, "So what's wrong with this mirror?" Oh, nothing. I didn't hit anything. It's like, really? That's why the mirror's over there going.
Oh no. I've bumped my mirror a few times to the point where it's way off where it should be, but I've never done it that bad.
Well, she didn't know, but you can on our mirrors you can fold them in.
Ah, okay, yep.
She didn't know about that. I'm like, you can just go like this, and then you don't have to worry about how close you are. You just get in. It happens.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it could be. Like, there's much worse things you could have happen.
Oh yeah, yes, there is a whole lot worse.
So we'll go back to that thing I was going to mention earlier about library having a not really being decentralized. So they had a thing here. I'll send you a link to it. They had this website called freezepeach.fun, and they were running a thing on here called Odyssey. And Odyssey was basically another front end for library. They've gone and put a password on it now, so I can't get onto it. But this was library themselves running a second thing. I don't know what exactly they're doing here, because it was basically just library TV with a few different tabs. You can't see it now, which is annoying.
You gotta have a secret password from somebody in their Discord server, or is this just like a project that they're working on and going to release later, maybe?
Well, they have a new employee called Julian Chandra, who is their, I think, head of promotions now or something. He used to be the head of partnerships over at TikTok, and I think he realized that he was going to lose a job soon, so he decided to come over to a new company. But now he's like the head of promotion at library, and his work, like, this is apparently one of his projects. But it's still not really, even though it's a second interface for library, it's not a decentralized thing, because then it's still being run by Library Inc. Unless the plan was to open source it and then hand it off to the community or something like that.
Right.
That's the only thing I could think for, because it basically just looked like library TV. So I imagine it was sort of like the same approach that Hive has, where it has a bunch of different interfaces. So maybe they were trying maybe they were trying to just kickstart the different interfaces or something, because no one else had done it already. I'm not really sure what they were planning to do with this.
I was just looking at the page source, try to determine.
Yeah.
It just looks like it's a static site on a CDN.
There was something different here before, but they've changed it very recently, which is annoying. If you... Let's see. Yeah, no, that's actually really annoying, because I did want to talk about that, but that's fine.
I wonder if you could... I don't know if it would do it on Firefox, but maybe throw the library protocol on it. It's not going to work because I don't have library installed. That would be cool, though. Just see if it could open in the library app.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. So yeah,
that's one thing that Hive needs. It's got this app called Essensi.
Yeah.
Which is a desktop app, and it's also a mobile app. And it's for for Hive, and it's a desktop app.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And it's very similar to library, but library's got the desktop app, and to me that's a cool draw.
Yeah.
It's just, if you could separate out the different kinds of content, that's a winner for me.
Yeah, that I think would be a really big seller, because you obviously can have the content on library, but it's so difficult to find anything that isn't video content right now that it doesn't really make any sense.
Right. It's just that, I don't know. I still love library. I'm not dishing it for anything, or
sure, yeah.
There's so much more that's possible with it, and it seems like there's way too many people that are just relying on library to do everything, and that takes away from the decentralization of it.
There are a
And
few people running community projects, but like you've got Librarynomics, obviously. Then another guy's got Librarylytics, which is a similar thing, but this is more focused on channel analytics rather than just overall library analytics. So you could see things like how much LBC you're getting per day, how much LBC other channels are getting per day, and like just seeing how stuff's actually moving around, how many views you're getting, what your top videos are, things like that. Stuff that's just sort of missing from the official Library TV app.
So that's more of a block scanner or whatever.
Yeah.
Thing.
But with just a friendly interface, so you can focus on the actual channels themselves rather than the blockchain.
Right. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on Librarynomics a few times, and I'm not a technical guy, so I don't really know how to read analytics and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is the coolest, prettiest looking website ever.
I do have one obvious problem with it. That is that you can't actually zoom in on the website, and this was intended by design. If you try to zoom in, it would just make the font smaller. And that's something they had to do on purpose. That's not something that accidentally happens.
Why would you do that, though?
I don't know. I'll bring on Brendan and ask him why he did that.
Well, it's not opening for me right now. Oh,
maybe your internet's just being slow or something. Cause...
it's being a dick. Yeah, number one is library.
Yeah, that doesn't count. The second one is also a library channel as well. That's Library Cast.
Bombard's Body Language is number 3.
I'd never heard of this channel before I came to library, but apparently they run a fairly large channel over on YouTube as well.
Really?
Hmm.
The Corbet Report is number 5.
MH is in 7th.
He's awesome. I like him. I'll never forget that one video he posted about his cheap green screen was a towel on the towel rack behind him in the bathroom.
If it works.
That's right. There's a blue towel. That was cool.
Oh, Lord. Let's see.
Naomi Brockwell's number 17. I figured she'd be bigger by now.
Yeah, that's actually kind of weird. Well, the problem is a lot of people, even though they have big followings outside of YouTube, outside of library, on library, they don't know like how the support system works, and that is pretty key to any sort of growth on the platform.
Right. I understand how the support system works. It's just, I don't know. I'm more interested in, I don't know. I want to say it wrong. I don't want to say pay to play type thing. It's, if I want to promote it, yeah, I'll pay for it. That's the way it is. That's business. But my stuff isn't a business. I'm here to have fun and learn stuff.
Sure.
That's how I started getting into podcasting years ago. Was I was trying to learn how to record my guitar, and then I found all these other musicians out there that are better than me, and I started doing a podcast. And then I'm just not I've never been into it for money. I've never thought of it or looked at it as a business, and I'm not interested in that. I want to learn stuff and see how stuff works and have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't have fun doing it, I'm not going to try to learn it.
Well, it sounds like you enjoy your day job as well, so it's not like you really have to get yourself out of that.
I love my day job. I just, there's times that it's just monotonous.
Yeah.
And you just want to go home, but you can't. But then there's times where I sit and think, well, I could get a local job, go work here in town or whatever. And then I'm like, I'll be sitting there twiddling my thumbs going, I got to do something.
Mhm.
I can't sit here. You know, I made a promise to one of my high school teachers that told me I would never find a job looking out a window, and I've been doing it for 30 years. Getting paid to look out a window. So,
Well, if you're enjoying it, hey, it's not for me. That's not the. I would absolutely hate doing your job, but if you like it, then we need people to enjoy that.
it's fun because yeah, you get to see a lot of gorgeous scenery.
Yeah.
And but then there's times where you've got like downtown New York City
Yeah.
or downtown Chicago where you're driving in and you're like, I hope to God I get out of here still alive. You know, it's all rolled up into one. It's all part of the deal. But at the end of the day, when you park the truck or the end of the night, whichever shift you happen to be driving on, you park the truck and you get back there in the bunk and you fire up, library TV or three speak or whatever, YouTube, whatever, and you start watching Netflix or whatever. You're like, it wasn't so bad,
Mm-hmm.
and just do it all again.
So I hear about how bad traffic gets in some parts of the US, and I look at how bad like peak hour traffic is here. Maybe like half an hour stuck in traffic. What actually is it like in some of those big cities when it's at peak hour? Because I see pictures of it and I hear how bad it is, but I can only imagine.
There's two real spots, three technically, but mostly nowadays it's two real bad spots. Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, and then the other one is LA. Which neither one of those I have to deal with. I haven't dealt with them in years, but I do have three of my friends that one of them runs up and down the West Coast, California to Washington, and they all three of them live in the LA area, San Bernardino Valley type thing, and there are times that I've carried on a 2 to 3 hour conversation with them, and they move only like 2 or 3 miles.
Jesus.
It's insane. It is very insane.
Because people look at Australia and like, oh, that the country's so big, it must take so long to get places. Like, I can drive out to my parents' place. It's 150 kilometers away. It takes me like an hour and a half.
Okay, let's put it this way. Texas, the state of Texas,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you can only drive 11 hours legally in a
Sure.
shift. Texas, at one point from east to west, is over 1,000 miles.
Sure.
So you cannot drive from one state border to the other in an 11-hour shift.
Right.
And that's just one state.
Jesus.
And like used to, I would go down to Dallas and then every once in a while run down to Houston and do a load down there. And they're like, well, once you get to Dallas, drop and hook, grab this other trailer, run down to Houston and get a couple stops off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no problem. And then you get down there and then you start driving from Dallas to Houston and you realize it's 4 hours from one city to the other. And it's like, dude, I can't make this. But then we've got these little states
Mm-hmm.
like Illinois, Indiana. They're 150 miles across.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can drive, 5 hours. You can drive across two states, and then you hit Ohio, and it's 5 hours just to the other side of Ohio.
Right.
And it's annoying sometimes, but the hardest part is when you get into traffic like Chicago. Typically, if you hit Chicago at about 3 to about 4:30 in the afternoon, you're good. You will slide right through Chicago, just slicker and snot. But if you hit it at from 4:31 till about 7 o'clock, you're stop and go, bumper to bumper, and it's annoying. But then there are times that you'll be like, oh, it's midnight, and I'm going to slide right through Chicago, and you'll get almost to the middle of Chicago, and somebody will be stupid and drunk driver will crash, and they shut down the interstate, and you're stuck for 3 hours while they clean up the trash.
Jesus.
You know, it's just as it's really a crapshoot for Chicago. Atlanta, for trucks, unless you're delivering inside the city, you're not allowed out inside the bypass. So you have to always go all the way around, and that's a long ride. Go around the bypass. But it's LA has got to be the worst. They've got 6, 7, 8 lanes wide on each side, you know. And my buddy Rob, he sent me pictures of bumper to bumper.
What?
You know,
that doesn't even make any sense. Like, I think the widest lane highways we have here are like 3 lanes. 3 lanes for like both direct. Oh, yeah, 3 going one direction, 3 going the other direction.
Well, most of our road engineers have this bright idea that more lanes will alleviate the traffic, and no, what alleviates the traffic is less cars.
Yeah, that'll help.
But Rob, he'll call me up. Hey, dispatch got me set up for 3 stops today, and look at this shit. I gotta what? He's like, I ain't gonna make this. It's only 10 miles to my next stop, and I can't get to it.
Jeez. Yeah, that sounds about as bad as I'd heard.
Well, it's not like Michigan. In Michigan, we've got a lot of back roads, county highways, county roads that are truck friendly.
Yeah.
But you don't know them. They can be kind of scary.
Right.
Because they typically are skinny, maybe truck and a half wide, where if you meet another truck, somebody, you got to slow down and ride the grass on each side, to get around. But they're not marked as being no trucks, so guys run them,
right?
If you know them. But like, I can go from our yard to all the way to Benton Harbor and never get on the highway, and it's awesome. Because in Michigan, the back roads are typically smoother than the highways because there's less traffic. And
that doesn't even make any sense. How are your highways that bad?
Well, the biggest problem with Michigan is it's basically a giant sandbar.
Right, okay.
Between the Great Lakes. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is we've got 160,000 pound trucks that are in state Michigan only. And yeah, they've got a lot of axles to spread the weight out. But when you've got 4 of them running together, that's the equal to 8 regular trucks.
Okay.
Running on the exact same surface. And we get 90-degree weather in the summer. So that blacktop just kind of melts, and we get these big ruts, and the sand underneath just starts buckling, and it happens,
Right.
But we get a lot of freeze and thaw because of the weather and the seasons, and that's the way it works.
Sounds like lots of fun.
I'm not, some drivers will say I'm blaming the heavy trucks, and I'm not.
Right.
It's just, that's the way it works. I blame the lawmakers.
Sure, yeah. There's only so much that can really be done.
Right. It's not that it's a bad thing to have super heavy trucks, but what they need to do is change the pay system, because typically when they've got the super heavy trucks, they're paid by the pound or paid by the bulk. If they would, switch them over to where they were paid by the mile or paid by the hour, it'd be totally different. You'd have lighter trucks, more loads, that type thing. It's all in the way that the industry would adapt if they just changed the law.
Makes sense. So
you're thinking, why the hell am I talking about trucks? This is a show about tech.
No, I don't know what this show is, to be honest. It's a tech podcast in name only.
I've heard some stories, something about somebody in the backyard at a party. I think was one of them. Uh, I remember something about that.
What?
Oh, not ringing a bell.
I,
It's been a couple episodes back, several episodes back, actually.
yeah, I make too much content to remember everything I say.
I know the feeling. I can
7
remember what
videos
I
a
told.
week in a podcast is a little bit too much to remember everything.
Yeah, that's why I just use my videos as my podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the podcast is the thing where I just don't care what I'm doing most of the time. Like, with the main channel stuff, that's all like prepared and actually trying to say intelligent things. Here, I've kind of got it set up the same way that I would be if I was live streaming it. Basically, it's just me chatting with someone or just rambling about nothing by myself. The only difference between the pre-recorded and if I was to stream it is there's no chat.
Right. I like your videos about the terminal apps because when I'm using Arco Linux, I've really gotten into using Awesome, and I've just fallen in love with Awesome. It's like the first time I've ever actually done a tiling window manager of any kind, and it runs great on this thing, and it gives me some really great CPU usage and RAM usage, and it's like I'm using Kubuntu for my Ubuntu Studio here, and my RAM is pegging pretty damn hard right now. It's running at 62%.
Jeez.
And Awesome, it's maybe running at 15 or 20, and I can have four what are they called, tags? The different desktops.
I don't know what Awesome calls them. They might just be desktops or workspaces.
Yeah, workspace. I can have like 4 of them with an app running on each one and switch it between them and be running 15% CPU. It's like, dude, I love this.
Yeah, it is nice.
And then videos like about Ranger and all the terminal only apps. It's like, dude, this is sweet. I can do this. I feel like a geek.
I've got I've got a series coming up soon when I eventually get around to working on it. There's going to be pretty hardcore terminal stuff. So
cool.
Someone, a couple of guys in my Discord have been talking about a way to show graphics without a graphics server. So showing it directly just in your TTY.
Really?
Yeah, you can work with these things called frame buffers. Basically, I guess the best way to look at it would be like a mini display server, and you could just play videos without any sort of graphical environment.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's going to be fun to mess around with, but it's not practical, I would say. It's just fun to experiment with.
Right. I started playing with the color thing that you had about the different colors.
Yeah.
I started playing with that, and I never did finish it, but I like that kind of stuff. That's kind of stuff's cool.
Well, that's awesome, because I do enjoy playing with that sort of software.
It's uh-oh. Is that you or me?
My housemate's weak. I don't know.
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
Wasn't sure if it was me or you.
She might have been talking to a dog.
I
don't know.
I didn't get a text. So they usually text. They know that when I'm up here in the studio / office, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. Yeah.
I usually lock the door because my kids tend to walk in.
Yeah.
I've been doing podcasting and streaming as long as my daughter has been around. So she's been on quite a few episodes of my old shows, and she'll just come right on in and start talking. Or back when she's 16 now, but when she was little, I was doing a live show on the Bush Radio, and she actually cut a ident for him. It was, I love the bush. I love the bush. It was funny. Her just singing. She was like 5 or 6 years old.
So how long have you been doing shows online then?
I started in 2005.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't realize you've been doing it for that long.
Yeah, I did the Uncle Bonehead Show was my first podcast,
Hmm.
and I did that for 6 or 7 years. And at one point, I had just a little over 3,000 subscribers.
Hmm.
Do you remember the band, or not the band, but the website GarageBand.com?
No.
It was back when MySpace was popular.
Yeah, no, that's before my time.
That was where it was the biggest at, was at GarageBand.com. And then switched over to doing a live show on the Bush Radio, and it was just running on a server in the guy's house,
Mhm.
and they crashed the server. So it was kind of cool to be able to say that, but there was probably maybe 15 or 20 people listening live on his home connection. And then he actually went out and got a big server.
Cool. I'll be back in a second.
That was you. Okay. Hit pause.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we've got a single car garage at my place, but it's one of those long ones. Oh, my video's lagging. That's interesting.
Went blurry.
I guess we're gonna be like this for the rest of the show now. I'm gonna turn my webcam off. And I'm gonna try to fix this. But anyway, yeah, we have a single car garage at my place, and my car was parked behind my housemate's.
You had to move.
Yes. Okay. If I. Oh wait, no, it's fine. It's back now.
That was weird.
I don't know what happened.
What kind of cam you use?
I'm using a Logitech C920. Just the webcam that everyone uses.
Uh,
There we go.
Get your white balance.
I usually have
That's
it so
racist.
my white balance is just hard coded, but for whatever reason I forgot to set it up. So we've been running with this adaptive stuff this entire show, which is fine because I've got my point lights over here, so it's okay. My face is a little bit this side is a little bit too bright, but it's fine.
I don't do lights.
Really?
I've got a light. I need to get a capture card
Mhm.
because I'm using a camcorder, and I was using my phone, using screen copy.
Mhm.
I think that's how you pronounce it, and it doesn't do justice because I'll forget to put it on airplane mode or whatever, and I get notifications popping up on my cam on the screen. And it's like, yeah, I ain't having that. I ain't gonna deal with that. Having to remember how to do that. Remember to put it on airplane mode every damn time.
Mhm.
And then that plus, I'm planning on once I get my capture card and my cam set up and the actual studio booth set up built, that I can use my phone to bring in people from Twitter
Ah, yeah.
that are live streaming or other places, bring them in through screen copy. So,
I can make
which
my
is a very cool app.
I can make my lighting just as good as yours. I'm gonna set something up. Just entertain people for like 30 seconds.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Okay.
My daughter used to have. Oh, there you go. Now it looks like a. Oh, you can't hear me. You ain't got the headphones on.
Oh, we're not done yet. I have a little bit more to do.
Now it looks like you're doing. This has been such a long interview. It's in the nighttime now. There you go.
There. Okay, we're almost there. And now, where is it? Here we go.
Hey.
We're now in a disco.
There you go. I had some LED lights that my daughter had, just cheap two little $20 lights that she got, or no, they were like $5
Yeah.
that she got. And they did that. The plan was to have them up here above the frame, you know, doing the disco thing.
Mhm.
But it just there's a short in them somewhere. So
Yeah, this is just a smart globe. I don't really like Internet of Things devices that much, but this is cool. I like this.
it gives a good atmosphere, especially if you're wanting to do something, like a fun show.
Mm.
Like that's what I'm doing on MSP Waves. I try to stay away from talking about tech all the time.
Yeah.
Because I want to be. I've got I've had it for a while, but a very strict no politics rule on all of my podcasts, and because I'm an MSP Waves, I just want to have fun.
Sure. Yeah.
Like there's in the chat room, on their chat room is on the Discord server. A lot of people actually just listen to it through Discord or watch it through Discord, and every time somebody levels up in the chat room, the host is supposed to take a drink. It's supposed to technically be a adult beverage, and I had an adult beverage with me. I think it was my first show, and I basically pounded 4 of them during the opening song, which was the William Tell Overture, and just for the fun of it. And probably it all started kicking in like towards about halfway through, so the first hour,
Mhm.
and then my cheeks started getting that nummy feeling,
Yeah.
and you're feeling good. The next thing I knew, the chat room had me telling dirty trucker jokes, and I was like, dude, Rod's gonna kick me off, and it's my first show. And for some stupid reason, they asked me to come back. So
Well, you're pulling in the traffic.
yeah, I had a couple of my trucker friends, well, 3 of them actually called in, and they spent 2 hours, and it was just 2 hours of trucker bashing everything. And if you don't know the trucker lifestyle, and yeah, there's been a lot of movies, Smokey and the Bandit, Convoy, and all the old trucker movies. They glamorized the lifestyle,
Mhm.
made it fun. Yes, it is fun, but a lot of it, with being on the CB radio is like, I guess, basically 4chan, a precursor to 4chan or Reddit. And they, on the CB, you will hear the most vile, filthy, disgusting things. We can make sailors blush and bikers blush, and gets pretty rough sometimes. And that's what those 2 hours was of that episode. And they asked them to come back too. I was doing a podcast. We've got 3 episodes on YouTube.
Mhm.
It was actually like 6 or 7 episodes that we did. It's called Break 19 Podcast.
Mhm.
And it's me, Ratchet Jaw Rob, Monster, and Wolfman. Those 3 guys did their own podcast called Trucker Nation USA. And we joined up to do Break 19 Podcast. The idea was that we were going to do it every week, come hell or high water, use an anchor. We can do it on the phone while we're driving. And we only got like 5 or 6 episodes done because there was always something, somebody's sleeping somewhere, somebody doesn't have a signal. And so we tried doing it with just, missing somebody, and it wasn't the same, because that's what we actually do every day, is call each other and talk on a group call all day long.
Mhm.
And we were just, fuck it, we'll record it and put it out as a podcast. There was quite a few people that liked Trucker Nation USA. My podcast, Truckin' Nuts, had, I don't remember how many subscribers it used to have, but it is Truckin' Nuts was that was one thing I had to pay a lot of attention to when I get talking. This week on Trucker Nuts, I'm sitting on them. But anyways, the it was Trucker Nuts. I tried to keep it family friendly, but Break One Nine Podcast is anything but family friendly.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, we've got like maybe 10 subscribers, I think. But we also only posted 3 episodes on YouTube, and there was a year between episode 2 and episode 3. So we weren't really into the YouTube thing.
Yeah.
But Rob and Monster are big gamers. I don't know what they play, but it's some military game, and they've got a dedicated time that they put together a team, and play online. And I'm cool with that, but it's also the same time that I'm on at MSP Waves. So yeah, be on all the time. We were shooting to try to do a 3-hour show from 9 to midnight. And I don't think we're going to be able to do that either because the other guys can't make it.
Oh.
So that's the one thing that sucks about trucking is you're never got a set schedule.
Yeah.
They say there's this old wives' tale that truckers get into these habits, and it's a whole habit thing. It's like, yeah, it's a habit that you're never the same. Every day is different. Every schedule is different. That's just the nature of the business. But if something like being able to record a video on Library or Hive or YouTube or whatever, if you could do it from your phone while you're driving, we will do it. We were using Skype for a while because it's got the recording.
Yeah.
And it was cool, but you can't separate the audio out. We're all on Bluetooth headsets and it sounds like shit. And one guy will be louder than the other guy. You can't, equalize them. You can't, normalize anything. It's just, you got to do your best you can with one track. And I don't like it. And so that's why we never really kept with the Break One Nine podcast, but it's a bitch in post.
Yeah, I have enough trouble like lining up a time with just me and a guest every single week. That trying to get 3 people lined up at the same time is going to be a massive pain. Like my schedule is usually pretty open. I can do stuff whenever. Most of the people I bring on are much busier than I am, and even that's hard enough. So getting 3 people who are always busy lined up, I can't imagine how difficult that would be.
Yeah, it's been, I think it was 2009. No, Obama was president, so it had to be 2007 or 2008. We did me and my buddy John, he's a truck driver as well, and Charlie from the Bush Radio, and Gary Fender, the singer that I was in the band with. Us 4 did a show every Wednesday night live on the Bush, and it was also on ubsn.net, and it was called Local Loud and Proud. And we was supposed to be all about local musicians, indie musicians here in mid-Michigan. But it turned into, we did skits, we did all kinds of fun. We had a segment called Dr. Love Tips with Dr. Pfister. And then we did, we did ask Uncle Bonehead about trucking, and we had a sponsor called Charlie's Choke and Poke, wholesale rape equipment and emporium, and Gary always did these little skits, like Fat Guy Falling Down the Stairs, where he just put together a bunch of sound effects, and we did a lot of fun stuff. And the funniest thing was, like for the Dr. Love Tips with Dr. Pfister, it was written by Gary, and he was, the emails, and we actually started getting, he would write the emails like he was somebody wanting actual advice from Dr. Pfister. And the gimmick was that no matter what it was, it could be, should I give flowers to my girlfriend? It would always, the answer always turned around to the answer was anal sex. And Gary would write it out, and we'd script it. And then probably 6 or 7 episodes in, we started getting actual real emails from people wanting to get love tips from Dr. Mystery. It was fun. And those were even better than what Gary was writing. It was a blast.
That sounds awesome. That sounds like it'd be so much fun to do.
It was a blast because it was every Wednesday night. We started at 7 and we were supposed to be done at 10.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times we did an after show thing that would go to like midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie, he lived in Florida. So he was on Skype. John was on Skype with me. John would be making a delivery or a pickup somewhere around Minnesota or western Wisconsin every Wednesday night. And then Gary, he just lives, 15, 20 miles away from me. So he came over.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually in the studio with me. And then we started getting Crispy and Nurse Nuda would come down from Saginaw. And they would come down every week. So I would be sitting there in my basement studio with 3 other people and then 2 people on Skype.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up, it'd be midnight sometimes on a Wednesday night.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, guys, you got to get out of here. I got to be at work at 4 o'clock. And it was fun, but, shit happens.
Yeah.
People grow apart. And
mm-hmm.
we ended up having to stop because I was using 2 desktop computers and a laptop, and one desktop, the hard drive crashed.
Ooh.
And couldn't get another one to replace it. So we just kind of slowed it down, went back to like an hour-long show type thing, something that we could just wing. And then eventually it was just like, yeah, schedules changed. John's schedule got changed, and Charlie had to start working nights. So show just ended. But it was a blast. It was probably the funnest show I've ever done because there was never anything you could expect. It was just, we played a lot of good music, talked to a lot of cool local bands, and it was just a blast.
That's awesome. I don't know how we got to this. I'm not sure how this actually started. I lost track at some point.
Yeah, me too. But
you're just having fun reliving your old memories.
Yeah. It's kind of like a trip down memory lane, and you set the atmosphere with the lighting. So now it's like, we're, like a 2020 or CNN interview, where we're up close and personal.
I guess so, except I'm a much less fake person, much more real person. We'll go with that one instead of trying to double a negative out.
No doubt about that.
So, by the sounds of it, you've been using the name Uncle Bonehead for a very long time then.
Yeah. My best friend, John, his son gave it to me when he was 3, 4, and he's 21 now. So, because John used to just call me Bonehead all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then little Bubba, I call him Ryan. He just started calling me Uncle Bonehead. He pronounced it Uncle Boathead. Boathead. Uncle
Could have went with Boathead. Hey, that would be a bit of a different meaning.
Yep, but it kind of stuck. And when I joined the band that John was in, I was in it for probably 5 or 6 years, and we'd get on stage, and that's what Gary would introduce me as his Uncle Bonehead, and it stuck. My friends all call me Bonehead. And, we opened in 2011. We opened for Great White at the Soaring Eagle Casino, and they referred to me as Uncle Bonehead. People was asking for autographs and shit, and I did a MC for the middle of the music festival at Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and I had a guy come up to me between the bands, and he's like, "Are you Uncle Bonehead?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "I thought I recognized your voice." He was a listener. I was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, that's cool."
That's awesome.
I got recognized.
I did find they haven't talked to me in person, but I did find out that someone who watches my channel also goes to my uni. So that's interesting.
That's cool. Very cool.
Mm.
My wife, she didn't usually used to go to the band gigs with me a lot, but mainly because when she did, everybody called her Mrs. Bonehead. I think that's probably why she didn't always go.
Well, that's actually a pretty cool story of how you got that name. And then it kind of stuck as like, if a bonehead can do it, then anyone can do it. So it kind of just worked with the sort of direction you're going with now. So
that's how I started with the self-hosted podcast. I was like, I wanted to learn about why host, and my idea was for the podcast. Because I was between doing podcasts. I knew I wanted to do a podcast, so I just kind of went with that. If I can do it, anybody else can do it. So it's easy to pay attention if you know what you're looking for to protect your privacy and your online data and all that. And self-hosting is, to me, that's the way to do it. But it's just so difficult in cost and the know-how that the average person isn't going to do it. There's things like the Freedom Box, where you can carry your internet with you and your stuff with you, and it's just like, that's cool, but you got to know how to set that up. Don't tell me you don't know about Freedom Box.
I have no idea what that is.
It's like a Raspberry Pi, but it's a server for your stuff. You carry it around with you and hook it onto Wi-Fi. It holds your email, everything.
That's actually pretty awesome.
You can set up a Mastodon server. There's a version of it that host has. It's called crap, I can't remember what it is. But host doesn't make it. Freedom Box makes the box that you can buy from them.
Right.
And it's all set up. Or you can just download the distro and install it on your own stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually only really been hardcore into Linux for the past year.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
And you know way more about it. You know way more about it than I do.
Well,
I started on Linux in 2010 with Ubuntu 10.04. And I'm up until just a couple of years ago, I very rarely opened a terminal.
Mm-hmm.
If I couldn't do it through the GUI, I didn't do it. There was a time for about a year, when Windows 10 first came out and I got a new computer, I was like, I'm actually going to give Windows 10 a try. And I ended up dual booting. Mm-hmm. And I spent more time in Ubuntu than I did in Windows. And I did it for about a year, and then I completely wiped Windows off, and I haven't been back since.
Well, to be fair, I came from a programming background, so I'm in my final year of a software engineering degree right now. So
cool.
I already had a lot of that experience, like messing around with terminal apps anyway. It was just shifting what I'm doing over to Linux.
My hat's off to you and people that can do stuff like that, because to me, that's just, you guys are like wizards and sorcerers, because I couldn't do it. I look at it and I see a bunch of characters, question mark, an exclamation point, parenthesis, block, or whatever you call it, the square thing. And it's just like, I can do Mark now.
Well, there's a reason why a lot of people in the software industry have autism. You kind of need that extreme focus on one thing.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Me, I'm watching something. It's like, ooh, squirrel.
Yeah, you wouldn't get very far.
That's why it's like Libraryonomics. It's the coolest looking website around,
Mhm.
especially when you see all the wheels and the graphs and it's just like I have no idea what I'm looking at, but that's cool as shit.
Yeah, I don't know why it was written in the way it was written. It's using some pretty old libraries. I don't know why they decided to do it like that, but it works, I guess.
Because it looks good. If it
Yeah,
worked,
but
why try to make a new one?
I guess that's fair.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I guess so. But usually, if you're gonna start something new, you're gonna start it with the new stuff, not just start
Yeah.
it from the old stuff. Even though yeah, it's fine. It worked. It's done better than I had expected, and it's had a lot of improvements recently that have made it fairly usable.
Cool.
Because early on there was a few problems with it where it was a bit slow, and if you like scrolled, sometimes the bar up the top would jitter as you're scrolling down the screen.
I used it mostly. I looked at it mostly on my phone
Mhm.
because I'm mobile. Six out of 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So most of the stuff I do on the phone, like I've started doing. I said I was going to do it semi daily, and it's been a week since I've done anything with it. But it's a from the driver's seat, like a daily trucking vlog, and I did like 3 episodes. And last week I didn't have time to do shit all week because we were busy.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be something to where I can do while I'm driving because I can see I've got my old LG V20
Hmm.
and it's got a good camera on it, but I don't even know where the hell it's at. I think it's downstairs. But it's got the SD card in it, so it's got good storage. It's got a great camera, no SIM card, so I can't do anything online with it.
Hmm.
But I can use it to make videos,
Yeah.
and I've got another mount on my dash, for my phone. I've got two mounts now, one for my regular phone, and then one for my V20.
Yeah.
And so I can actually record something while I'm driving. I get that driver's point of view from what I'm trying to do is record with one phone over the dash,
Hmm.
pointing out over the hood, and then the other phone I'm trying to get the face, and I'm trying to record the voice on one, and then the other one I'm just going to kind of sync up
Ah, yeah.
when I put, so you can still hear the sound of the truck from one of the scenes, but you can still hear me over the truck because
Hmm.
I'm talking through the Bluetooth. And I'm trying to get that, and I can't get it to line up right. But it's eventually I'm going to figure this shit out, and it's going to be cool. What I actually should probably just do is spend money and go buy a damn GoPro and,
Well, if you're
and
trying to
put
sync it up, just clap.
yeah, but it's kind of hard to do that when you got 600 horsepower going on one of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Clap really
'Cause
loudly.
well, see, the problem is when the one that's not got the headset connected
Mhm.
is sitting on the dash, I can reach up there and touch it, so it's at arm's length.
Mhm.
But the truck is so loud, just sitting there idling, you can't hear me talk.
Okay, yeah.
If I didn't have the headset on, you couldn't hear it. That's just the nature of the truck. I'm just trying to get them to sync up. I should
Yeah.
probably sync them up, put them in the. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, there'll be a
It's
way
just
to do it.
trial and error. The problem is on Mondays we're so busy because we've got anywhere from 10 to 15 loads to deliver, and there's only 3 guys
Mhm.
because one guy is out right now with COVID, and he doesn't have it. He's just scared to work,
Mhm.
and the so we're trying to cover the work of 4 guys with 3 guys, and
It's not
it's
going too
pain.
well.
Right, but eventually I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got the same sort of problem over at my work. So I do night filling in a supermarket, and there's a couple of people who either they got COVID or like their partner got it, so they can't work. And we just have, we're kind of just bleeding people right now. Stuff's getting done, but it's always a problem when you're down staff and you can't bring people in when you need the hours. It's just like there's only so much that can get done.
During the big shutdown and everything was shut down so long, the DOT opened up the restrictions on the hours of service, and our governor here in the state opened up all of the roads, so there was no restricted truck routes except for height.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Size. But you were able to drive anywhere, any road you need, just get the job done. And the hours of service was lifted. No matter what, you had to go. Got to go. Work anytime you want, all that stuff. And it was awesome. There was like nobody on the road. Truck speed limit here in Michigan, 65 on the high interstates. And there was many times that I was running with 3 or 4 other trucks and we were pushing 70, 75 and pushing cars out of the way because we had to go. And we had one car that was probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I was coming back from Detroit and there was a truck in front of me and a truck behind me. We were in the left lane trying to pass this car, and the car sped up and got in the left lane and brake checked us, because we shouldn't be driving that fast. And just as we were coming by a rest area and there was a cop sitting in the rest area, he come out and pulled over that car and let us truck. It was like, yes. It was awesome.
I know that in a few places in Australia we have open speed limits. So in my state, the max speed limit is 110, which is 70 miles an hour. But there's, like, I think in Victoria, maybe Northern Territory, they actually have like open speed limits. So you could do like 120, 130 if you wanted to.
Those are nice. I think Nebraska used to have a safe and reasonable speed is what they called it. And I think they actually did end up putting a speed limit on the trucks.
Because, well, trucks are a bit different.
Yeah, let's just face it. Physics is physics. You can't get around it.
Sure, yeah.
At 13 and a half feet tall by 75 feet long and 12 foot wide isn't exactly a Ferrari.
Well, yeah, if you tried to do some of those speed limits on some of the dirt roads out here, you're going to flip your truck.
Yeah, I've heard stories about the outback and the and the dirt roads.
Yeah, you either have really soft sand or it gets wet and then you get stuck in like a 2-meter hole.
Yep, we've got a lot. We got a lot of sand here in Michigan. I used to deliver to a store in Ionia, Michigan. No, not Ionia, Stanton, and it's a tight place to get into anyways, but it doesn't look tight because it's a big lot and there's grass, but it's grass growing out of sand. And if you didn't know where to drive, you would sink, like that. And they had a wrecker company, a couple towns away that was on call. Because somebody would always come up, and when you pulled out of the dock, you had to automatically start turning right, but you didn't want to because they had a wall that comes up. You were always afraid you're going to hit that wall with your trailer, so you just kind of eased out. And if it was a new guy that's never been there before, he'd swing way out before he started, and that was where he would just sit, and the wrecker would be there like 10 minutes, hook up, and winch you out.
Jesus.
It was fun.
Oh, it sounds like it.
Oh, yeah. Lots of places like that up here in Michigan that especially in the dark, if you don't know where you're at and what road you're on, there's an old saying here in Michigan in the wintertime, especially if you're running down the highway and you're the only one there and you can't really see the road, if it smooths out, get back to the left because you're in the ditch. So you want to be on the bumpy parts. That's the highway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I had a friend of mine. His name was Chance. It was CB handle was Chance,
Uh-huh.
and he used to run out to Toronto a lot. And they sent him way up north to Quebec
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of winter. He'd never been up there,
Mm-hmm.
and he was telling me that he was driving. He said it felt like for 10, 15 miles. He's like, I'm on this highway. It's moonlight. You can see where the edges of the trees are at. And he's curvy. Kind of highway. But he didn't see another car, another truck, nothing for 15, 20 miles. And he that's when he realized he was driving on a frozen river. he,
Oh.
he said he stopped and he just pulled off to what he thought was the side,
Mm-hmm.
off the shoulder. And he said he got out and he's standing there looking around and he started slipping a little bit and he heard a big cracking noise. And he's like, I'm on ice. He said he got back in the truck, just kind of put it in granny gear, kind of eased closer to the shore because it'd be shallower there if it did break through. But he ended up getting the Canadian, what are they called, Mounties or whatever, come out and they got him out. But it was funny. That was the last time that he ever went to Quebec.
Yeah, I'd be a little scared after that as well.
You're nuts, dude. I mean,
he's lucky. That's what he is.
Yes, he is. That's why his nickname was Chance.
Oh Lord.
He was cool, dude.
So we've been going for 2 hours now. I'm happy to keep going if you want to. I know it's getting pretty late for you.
I'm good. It's only 9:20 here. But
oh, okay. I thought it was later.
I can talk.
Oh no, sorry. I was going off of the UTC time. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's UTC. I'm not UTC.
Yeah, no. You're in E something or other. I don't remember. It's 9 p.m. anyway.
Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern something or other. Is it
something.
Standard time? Is that what it is?
It's actually daylight. Yeah, it's standard right now, but it'll be daylight savings time in October. Yeah, October.
Okay, yeah. Cool. So
I'm one of the that have to change.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I said I'm one of the unlucky ones that have to change my clocks twice a year.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere in Australia acknowledges daylight savings time, so we just accept it as a normal thing.
It's annoying, ain't it?
Yeah. It's fine. I don't even realize when it changes until my clocks just change themselves, and then I realize the microwave's out.
That's the way it works.
Pretty much. But Australia just has pretty messed up time zones anyway. We have half-hour time zones.
That's weird.
So in South Australia where I am, it is UTC plus 9:30. Yeah. I don't know why. Let's see if I can find it.
That's weird. You guys are in winter right now, ain't you?
Yes. Yes, we are. Here we go. Copy image address. Yeah, it's winter, but it's like it's not. It's okay. Australian winter is not really winter. The coldest it gets here is like 1 degree, maybe, which is what 35.
Yeah,
something like that.
Zeros. Yeah.
So
that is weird.
In some places in Australia, it does snow. We like some of the mountaintops. It does snow a bit, and there are like ski resorts, but most places it doesn't really.
So you got mostly dry type where you're at.
Yeah, here at least in the place I'm at, we get a lot of mist. So early in the morning, you will wake up and it's like, oh, I can see like 2 meters in front of me. That's great. It was so bad a few weeks back where they had to ground all planes until I think like midday or something.
Wow. That's some thick stuff. That's one thing I hate driving in You, most truck drivers will drive through snow, will drive through ice, will drive through rain,
Mm-hmm.
but fog
Yeah.
is if you can't see past the nose of your truck, it's no that will send chills down your spine.
Fog at night is one thing, but when it's fog during the day, there's so many people who just don't put their lights on.
Hmm. You can actually see better at fog during the day than you can at night.
Mm-hmm.
But what cracks me up is people that turn on their bright lights
Mm-hmm.
thinking they can see better. You're not, because all you're doing is seeing the fog better.
I found out my car actually has fog lights the other day, which are pretty useful. I should have noticed those a while back, but
Well, technically, what color are they?
I
The yellow or white?
I think they're white.
Okay, if they're white, they're technically driving lights,
Okay, they're on a fog
and
light button. So
there is a difference.
okay.
Fog lights are yellow because yellow cuts through the fog, so you can see, and they're supposed to be aimed up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
like headlights. Driving lights are white, and they're supposed to be angled down and towards the edges of the road. Those are so you can see the edges of the lane or the road.
Right.
That's the difference. But car manufacturers and everybody just calls everything fog lights as long as it's not a headlight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. I
And I
could
don't know
replace
about
them
that.
with yellow globes. Like that wouldn't be difficult. But
No, it's not hard to make a difference, but
mm,
it's just being a truck driver. That's kind of we got a lot of pet peeves,
mm-hmm.
and that's one. It's like people tend to bump different kinds of people together. Not like a racist thing, but these people are this way, this people are this way, and truck drivers don't do that. We see this car group. This is a Prius. They
Mm-hmm.
drive like this. This is a Yugo. They drive like this. This is a Tesla. They drive like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we see. It's like Dr. Crypto wrote a post on Hive the other day, tagged me in it, saying that he was coming out as a Prius driver, even though I'd be upset about it. And I'm like, dude, we don't see individuals, we see the cars and the way that people typically drive those cars. Because somebody that drives a Cadillac drives totally different than somebody that drives a Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, Prius drivers, they typically seem to be the ones that want to remind everybody that you're not supposed to be driving that fast, or they want they've got the attitude, I've got a Prius, I'm an eco-friendly person, and it's like, that's nice, you bought that car for a reason, now get out of my way. It's that's just the way we look at it. We don't see people, we see vehicles.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know why I just blurted that out. I just did.
I'm getting messages. The Sunday.
Uh-oh.
Don't mess me to work. Go away.
We need you to come in.
Wait,
We just had some.
who's that even messaged me? Who in the world is Dan? I don't know. I'm transferring to a new store. So I was working at this one in it's a bit further away, and they stopped giving me hours. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to a different store. And now I don't know any of the managers at this new place. So
Wow, that sucks.
yeah, but it's fine. At least I'm getting hours here.
Was it your wish for the transfer, or was it them?
They kind of forced it upon me by not giving me hours, but also my direct manager, he let me work at a different store, and that's when they screwed up. When this other store found out I was good at my job, then they just kept pestering me about transferring.
Yeah, that's a good sign, because that means you're doing a good job.
Well, it's filling shelves. It's a pretty hard job to be bad at. I consider the default state to be good.
Believe me, I know some people that could fuck that up.
Oh, I definitely do as well.
But it's just there's it doesn't matter what the job is. It can be the easiest job, can be the easiest thing for everybody or one person, but there's always going to be at least one person that doesn't understand it or can't do it, because we're all different. We're all different individuals.
Mm.
It's like my son, he's 25. I don't want him anywhere near a big truck.
Sure.
I mean, but he can get on a bike, and he could do stuff on a bike that I could never do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody's totally different. Everybody's got a different skill set, and what we see as being simple or non-trivial can be very complicated to the next individual.
Sure. Okay.
So people can fuck it up.
Yeah. They definitely can. I know some people who are. I will be putting stuff on the shelves, 3 boxes to their 1. I'm just like. When you're going that slowly, it's more like it's less like you're not able to do it, and more like you just need to work harder. Because if you're that slow, you'll see them, they're just moving really slowly. It's like
the clock milkers.
Sorry,
clock milkers.
Yeah, pretty much. This is what happens when you pay people by the hour rather than how much work they do.
Yep, that's true. Anyways, what else did you want to talk about?
Let's see. What else do we have on the list? So,
you said you had other stuff, so I'm taking your word for
it. So, Parler was one of the things. I know you don't really like. You had some interesting things to say about Parler back, a few weeks back.
A month ago. But
yeah,
anyways.
A month ago, wherever it was. I'm still using the platform. I use it occasionally, but I'm just keeping an eye on it, just see what it does. But
right,
I don't really know what's going on with this platform. It's it feels like it's just basically another media platform. It's like, we have Gab, we have Twitter, we have Mastodon, we have Parler now.
Yep, it's my thing with Parler is they advertise it as the free speech platform.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say whatever you want. But then when you look in their terms of service, they specifically state that they can delete your account for any reason they want to,
mm-hmm.
or no reason at all, is exactly the words they use. That's not a free speech platform.
No, definitely not.
That's false advertisement. And then when you dig into more of the terms of service, they say that you have to defend them. You have to pay for an attorney, and you can't do a class action lawsuit against them for anything. And that's not a free speech platform. I'm sorry.
Well, speaking of the class action thing, Patreon kind of set themselves up in a really terrible position by doing that, where it's like, you can't do a class action. Okay, well, have fun dealing with all of these lawsuits individually, and that's kind of coming back to bite them right now. So
I understand a company wanting to protect itself because their main goal for being in business is to make a profit.
Sure.
I don't have a problem with companies making a profit. But when you bind your users to say that you can't sue us for doing something that you don't like,
mm-hmm.
that's bullshit. And I don't care what anybody says. If you can find an attorney that where the payout is going to be worth his money, he will sue them on your behalf, no matter what their terms said. And there are courts in this country that will do it.
Well, you guys have an interesting setup because you're like the US is very big on states' rights. So there's always some random state where there's some weird loophole that you can exploit. Whereas Australia, we've kind of got far more unified laws for the entire country.
Yep. Well, there's supposed to be all for state rights, but there's certain jurisdictions like all the software patents,
Mm-hmm.
any kind of a suit over that, always go through one district in Texas
Mm-hmm.
because they always tend to vote for the ones that brings it there. I mean,
Right.
they could have a software company in Silicon Valley will sue something and then they take it to a court in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be that way. It should stay in Silicon Valley.
Right.
It should stay in California. You shouldn't be allowed to run to whatever jurisdiction is going to be in your favor. That's not right.
I guess
go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess that there are some benefits that do come from that, because then if there is a state that, at least on an individual level, if there's a state that you don't like whatever it's doing for you, then you can go somewhere else and have a completely different set of, I guess, laws around you. Like, aren't there some states that basically don't have income tax or don't have income tax at all?
Yep.
Yeah. Like
Texas and Florida.
That's not a thing in Australia. Everywhere in Australia has unified tax laws. So from an individual's level, there are some benefits that do come from that, but it can definitely be exploited if you have the money to exploit it.
Right. Well, see, in Texas and Florida, they don't have the income tax, the state income tax, but they still have to do the federal income tax.
Right. Okay.
So nowhere in the country you're going to get out of taxes. There's no way anybody can
if
do
you just
that.
take your money overseas, right?
If you don't,
Put
if
it
it's
in the
under
Cayman
the table,
Islands.
yep. But like here in Michigan during the shutdown, she locked us down for everything for a long, long time. Just to the south of us is Indiana, and people were going to Indiana to get a fucking haircut. They couldn't get a haircut in Michigan, so they just drove 30 miles across the state line and got a haircut.
We've been pretty harsh about people crossing state lines here, because right now Victoria is under basically complete lockdown just because they've had a couple of all their cases have spiked up, and it's just like no one comes in and no one comes out of that state. And we don't really have that many ways to get in between the states. It's usually just like a major highway, and that's it. Obviously, there's all of the nothingness that you could walk across, but as for roads, we pretty much only have one or two ways to get out and in of every single state.
Right. Well, I can understand, for its health risk and health problems, I can understand that. But if they were to, like, if a state was to lock down a border and not allow anybody to go across, outside of the COVID situation, they would not be able to enforce it, because we've got so many back roads in this country that actually there's towns where half the town is in one state and the other half is in the other. So there's like no literal way they could ever enforce border between the states. They could somewhat do it all around the country, with Canada and Mexico, but inside the states, they'll never be able to enforce that,
Yeah. Well, you guys also have a much more of a focus on, I guess, people's freedom, whereas in Australia, if it's not like we'll listen to everything the government say, but if like there's just a thing where it's like, don't go to Victoria or whatever ever like that, generally most people are going to just be like, okay, whatever, I'm just not going to go to Victoria. Whereas, as you were saying, people going to different states to get a haircut.
Yeah, it's here we've got how can I say this? It's not that there's a lot of people that will do what the governor says or the president or whoever and listens to the government. Everybody's wearing masks. That's not the problem. What the problem is we've always typically for the last 200 some years, we could go anywhere we want, whenever we want. And nothing could say, anybody could say anything about it. And if you're going to lock down a state and not allow, free travel between the places, you're going to kill the economy, your own local economy, because not every local state gets all their food and all their merchandise from within the state. There's a lot of interstate commerce that happens in all 50 states, and everybody depends on everybody. So if you're going to do that, you're going to have to lock down the truck traffic and the train traffic and the air traffic, and there's just no way to physically do that. So
yeah, it's a mess of a situation. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, but it's going to eventually stop. It'll, it's not like it's going to be this way forever. Yeah, it'll get back to normal here. Another month, 2 months, 3 years, 2 years, whatever.
Well, one thing that has slightly bothered me is people who will they'll say, like, look at Japan, look at South Korea, look at how well they've done. They have very, very different cultures, and they have very different structures of their country. Like, Japan has basically eliminated COVID at this point. But they already had a culture of wearing masks, and they have a culture of, listening to what the authority will tell them.
Right.
And also, they just have way less people.
Yeah. But that's one thing that's always been bothering me from the get-go about the whole thing, is that we were told there was going to be like 2 million dead by now, just in the United States. And we've got a population of over 700 million people just in the United States. And we're just barely at 160,000 dead. I'm not saying it's a deadly virus or anything like that, but some numbers ain't jiving here.
Well, it was believed early on that it was going to be way, way more deadly than it was, and
right, I understand that, but the way the media reports it, a lot of the people in the United States believe that we've lost 30 to 40% of our population already, and we're far from that. We're 700 million people, but it's just, I think they've blown it all out of proportion because they report on so many cases each day, but they're not saying that those are people that even have symptoms or even knew that they were infected.
Yeah, we've got the same sort of problem here where it's just, when it was really bad here, it basically was just wall-to-wall news coverage, like, there's a new case in this town, there's a new case in this town, there's a new case in this town, and nothing else is being said. Like, other things are still happening in the world. Right.
Well, see, our governor, she locked down everything. She started off really good when it's first hit. She was doing a good job, and then she started doing stupid things, like saying you could do this, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like we were confined to your homes. Stay in your homes. Okay, this is a respiratory illness. Let's put everybody into a room. That won't make anybody else in the room sick. Okay, and then she did like New York did and a couple other states where they forced the senior citizens together that had COVID, were positive for COVID, still made them go into the nursing homes with the unsick people.
Well, there were other weird ones. Like, I know there were places that were opening up bars, but they weren't opening up comedy clubs, even though they had the same number of people that would be in there. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Still to this point, here in Michigan, you can go to a bar and all of that, but you can't go to a gym. Why can't you go to a gym where there's 15 people in a 5,000 square foot room and you're like 20 feet apart? But you can go to a grocery store with a 6-foot wide aisle and walk side by side with people that you don't know.
Did
But you
the
can't go to a gym and work out on a rowing machine that's 12 feet away from somebody else.
did the farmers markets ever shut down for you guys?
I don't know. We've got a local farmers market here in town. They shut down for a while. I think they were open a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, because we never shut down our farmers markets, and ours got real. Like they were basically more packed than the grocery store because generally the like stalls are pretty close together. Everyone's kind of like bundled up together, so there's not. Yeah, it's not a good system. I'm happy that a lot of the supermarkets now are bringing back the like home delivery. That's a good idea, but it should have been there from the start.
Yeah. What cracks me up is like I'm out driving, I'll be at a truck stop or something, and I'll see kids, young kids to my age or older. They'll come in, they've got the mask on, all bundled up, looking like they're wearing a hazmat suit. They go in, go to the bathroom, stand there at the urinal, get done, flush the toilet, walk out, and don't even wash their hands. But they got their mask on.
The mask is very important.
So they're being safe. And it's like, dude, seriously.
My favorite are the people who wear the mask, but only over their mouth. They have their nose visible. It's like,
yeah. I'm being safe.
Or even better, the people who put the mask on just hanging around their ear.
Yeah.
They just have it there so they don't get a fine.
Here in the States, used to be, you see everybody's got like the fuzzy dice or something hanging off the rearview mirror of the car. Now it's a mask. Everybody's mask. And, you'll see, I see this a lot. What do you call it? Where one parent's got the kid for a week and then the next week the parent's got the other kid. They swap.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll work it out.
I'll see them like at McDonald's or whatever. I'll be driving through the parking lot, cutting through, and they'll be dropping off one kid going to the other parents. They'll get out of the car. The parents won't get out of the car. The kid will get out of the car with the mask on, run over to the other car. Mom or dad, whoever, hugs them. They take the mask off, get in the car. Aren't you supposed to quarantine for 14 days? If you're swapping kids from household to household each week, is that not like a carrier?
I don't know what
They were recommending that when you go get groceries, to leave your groceries in the car for 3 days so that the virus on the bags doesn't get transferred. And then when you come in, you're supposed to wash the bags and all this. And that's fine and dandy, but what about clothes?
Just soak all your clothes in alcohol.
I mean, people come in. I mean, at the height of the thing, there was a time when I'd get home because I'd been gone all week. There was a set of clothes there and a towel. Go take a shower. Join us when you're done. And I wouldn't see them till I got out of the shower. Once everything was cool, everything's settled down and nobody was getting sick. But there's like my friend that's supposed to be working, but he's off because he's scared. Technically, I can see because his wife is really bad with her autoimmune system.
Yeah, okay. In that case, I can see why you'd want to do it.
Want to bring anything home. And his dad is on oxygen and lives with him. So he's got to, pay attention to that because they're both high risk. So that's why he's not working. But he'll call us and talk on the phone when he gets away from the family for a while. He'll call us to get back to normal. And he tells us that he'll go out to the store or something. He comes home and he's got to put the booties over his shoes and then change his clothes, put the booties over his shoes, then he can go in, take a shower, and his wife makes him do all this shit before he can even come walking into the actual house. which is cool. I understand. There she's high risk, so he's got to deal with that. But I don't know. It's I understand being careful for the high risk people.
Of course, yeah. I've got
But
a
if
few people who are a bit elderly in my family who I wouldn't want to be seeing right now.
right, my dad's 95. I haven't seen him for several months,
Mm-hmm.
but he also lives, 400 miles away from me.
Oh, that'll do it.
But
Yeah.
but he's 95. He hasn't been out. He used to go out walking at Walmart a mile every day
Mm-hmm.
before this started, and he hasn't been able to do that since. So he's griping the mostly about that because he wants to get out and walk. At 95, that's the highlight of your life is walking. But the the high risk people I can understand, wanting to wear masks and everything, but to force everybody outside in public where you're supposed to be away from everybody anyways, to force everybody to wear masks that's not right. If you're high risk, you should be wearing the mask.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not high risk and you're not worried about it,
well,
that should be an individual choice.
The problem that I've been seeing, I can accept the mask. I don't really care about that. The problem I have are the places that were locking down, like walking tracks and parks and places where you can actually get outside, places where you would be separated from people, and you can just get some sunlight.
Yeah. The scientists are saying that sunlight kills.
Yeah, I have been hearing that.
Very weak virus. You can kill it with just simple soap. But yet our governor closed down lakes, resorts, campgrounds. I can understand, the campgrounds, you typically got a playground there somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and kids like to lick things like playground equipment. Kids are not exactly smart. Hey, look, I can lick this rock. And but like you could go out. She went so far as to say you can go out on a boat
Mm-hmm.
as long as it's not motorized. What the hell's the difference?
Okay. I don't have an answer for that one.
And there was at one point where she was about to open up everything up north, because in Michigan we call it going up north.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's all wooded area up there. There's a lot of state land. People go camping, boating, a lot of outdoor activity up north. And that's like a weekend tradition in Michigan. It was the beginning of summer, and she was about to start opening stuff up. And one dude at a press conference asked her something about getting sick, and the only way he could have thought of that he could got it was off of a gas pump.
Uh-huh.
Because he put gas in the car without the rubber gloves, and was rubbing his face, and that he thinks that's the only way he could get it. One dude, one case like that reported, and she shut it down for another month.
Yeah, the lockdowns for you guys have been crazy. Like, we've had a couple of cases spike up here. Usually what happens when there's a case at, like, a school, they'll shut down the school for, like, 2 weeks. That's what they do. They don't shut down the entire state. Or, like, I think there was a case at a gym, a school, and some other public area. And what they did, they just shut those places down for 2 weeks. And that's all they did. And then tell the people who were at that place, quarantine yourself. And that's what they did. They didn't, lock everything down. We're taking a more, I guess, directed approach now, rather than just saying, okay, well, nobody can be outside.
That makes sense. Like, here, our schools have been closed since the thing started. And now each individual school's district is making up what they're going to do, planning for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are like the one in Lansing, the capital. The entire school system's online. That's it.
Yep.
Nothing. No extracurricular activities, no football, no nothing. Here in our town, St. John's, you can either do online, or you can attend,
Mm-hmm.
in class, in person. And my daughter's like, I want to go. I want to go. I want to see my friends. I want, I need the interaction, but she's also scared to death of the rules and the restrictions and how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried, her mom tried to explain it to her that it's going to be basically the same thing as last year, except you're going to be wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, how would you even police that with kids? Like, because kids like to go up and touch each other a lot. Like, how would you?
Oh yeah,
You wouldn't really be able to stop that.
no, no, that's what I mean. They're trying to. It's almost like they're trying to police personal behavior,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't. You can't police personal behavior. What you can do is try to educate people and get them to ensue personal responsibility to
Mm-hmm.
get them to make the choice to do it themselves. But that's where our society here has gone way wrong, because in our school systems over the years, we've taught them that you're not responsible for anything.
Mm-hmm.
You you fucked it up. That was so and so's fault. That wasn't yours. It's not the fact that you didn't do the work and actually turn in your homework. That was, you know, Billy Joe Jim Bob that, asked you to go play this game instead of actually doing your homework.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we've gone wrong. And now we've got a bunch of a big, society where it's nobody's fault. Nobody's responsible, and we're supposed to give them for free.
Yeah.
And you think, God, you're an asshole.
No, I mean, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It's not as bad here, but there's definitely a lot of people I know who they don't take responsibility for the problems that they caused themselves. They'll always try to find some reason why it's not their problem, why
Right.
someone else should deal with it, or why just like it's a big problem with with university for one thing. There's a lot of people who like to complain about how so our university system here is actually pretty great. Our loan system is really generous. And there's a lot of people who like to complain that, the university system is too expensive or this and that. Like, people who make comparisons to the US system, where you guys actually do have a pretty fucked university loan system. Here, you don't have to pay a cent back until you make over $45,000 a year. So you could never get a good job and then just never pay it back. But these people who know what they were getting into and then know the risks that are kind of come along with it, then complain to someone else that they decided to do, like they decided to go to university. There are other paths they could have taken. They didn't have to go. They could have gotten a trade, and like there's a lot in my, like, because I grew up in a fairly poor area. There's a lot of people who actually do have a lot of respect for people who go and work a trade. But then when I went to university, I got a lot of the people from like the more poshy areas who have a bit more money, who kind of look down on that sort of work, and who think that that's not really going to get you anywhere in life and things like that, and think the only way to get anywhere is through university. And then because they went to university, they're going to complain about the system that they decided to join themselves.
Yep. I never went to college, university. I did a month of electrical engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, this ain't for me. And then I went and drove truck, and I've had a pretty successful career for 30 years, and I don't even have a high school diploma. So, it is what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If it becomes a passion, it will never be a job.
Mm-hmm.
If it will never be a trade, it will never be a profession. If it's something you like to do, it will be your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's plain and simple. But these people that go and they get $50,000 a year to a university to for 8 years to study to become a doctor, and then they come out and they expect to be making $70,000-$80,000 a year working at McDonald's, and you're like, you wasted your money, dude. Because universities, they just
They have
they're
a
in,
purpose, but there's too many people who go to them as the default choice.
right. It's yes, you can go that way if that's your passion and that's what you want to do. But if you're okay with working a trade job, if you're okay with being a welder or a truck driver or a mechanic, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. I mean, you're not, you got to accept what you'll get paid in that profession and in that trade. Because, a software engineer will make $100,000 and a mechanic will make 70 or 80. You're not going to make the 100,000 as a mechanic, but you're also not doing the same damn thing. But the question is, are you happy doing what you're doing?
That's a big one that a lot of people don't really consider. Like, yeah, you can make lots of money as a software engineer, as a doctor, as a lawyer, but if you hate your job, are you going to really stick it out for your entire life?
Exactly. Like if I'd stuck with the electrical engineering, would I be happy doing it now? No, because I hate wires. And that was what I was doing, was learning about circuit boards and things like that. I absolutely hate soldering. There's nothing more. I mean, I can do electrical wiring here in the house. I can do electric wiring on the car and the truck. Not a problem. But I look at a motherboard and it's like, no, I'll drive the truck.
If you did stick with it, hey, you would eventually have to learn how to program as well. So
exactly. And I don't know if it's just the way my brain works, but I cannot look at code and understand anything. I can look at commands for, a terminal, and I can understand, the pipe command and grep. I can understand that stuff. But as far as actual code, if this, then that stuff, it's like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
With enough time, you could probably get yourself to a reasonable state, but if you're not enjoying it, then you're not going to want to put the effort into it anyway.
Yep. That's why I like the, like getting into host and all that. I can understand how this, MariaDB works on this and this. I can understand that, but actually writing a MySQL database or PHP or anything like that, no. I can understand I need this for that to work. Yeah, I can do that.
Oh yeah, even inside of tech, there's parts that I have no interest in whatsoever. Like, I enjoy programming, that I find to be fun. But if you stick me in front of some networking equipment, I'm just gonna be like, can I leave? Like, I don't know how to set up a router.
Right. Well, I like figuring things out. Like if I've got, like, you've heard of Internet DJ Console.
I'm gonna Google it. Oh, that's
It's like a really cool Linux only radio station DJ type stuff.
Oh, that sounds pretty neat.
And you can, I like to figure out things with Jack and audio stuff because I like to play with audio. I like to record. I like to make music.
I should eventually look into Jack.
It's you can, and it still works, but from what I understand, they're trying to work it into pipes to pulse audio. So eventually Jack's going to go by the wayside, I guess.
Okay.
So it's going to be mixed in with pulse audio. Falk TX is the guy that's doing it. He's the KX Studio guy. And he's like a genius when it comes to audio stuff. So he probably does other stuff too, but I just know him from KX Studio.
Mhm.
And KX Studio's got like everything under the sun for Debian and Ubuntu. But Internet DJ Console is, I still love it. I miss it because it doesn't run on Ubuntu 2004, and that's what I'm running now. And I want to try to get it running on my Arco Linux, but it's just because I like it, because I was using it to record my podcast, even though I wasn't streaming anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you could use it to record in FLAC, MP3, anything that FFmpeg does, it'll record those files. And it just records it as you're doing it. You don't have to worry about anything. It's got a section where you could set up your bumpers, your idents, and just set up playlists. It's just, for me, it's the ultimate, DJ stuff. And I don't have a server to stream to because MSP Waves just uses OBS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool the way they've got it set up, because you can stream to a server and then it automatically switches over to the next host, so it just keeps going and going and going. And, the live shows just roll just like that. There's no dropping of listeners or anything when you switch or anything. It's
that's actually pretty cool.
It is very cool. It's nice and smooth. I don't know how he's using it. I know he's using, for the biggest part of the days that there's no host, they just do random music from indie musics. And that's running on, crap, I forgot the name. Anyways, it's free software. It's based on, similar to LibreTime.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of LibreTime? No. It's all internet radio station stuff.
Okay, yeah. This is not a scene that I've really looked much into.
It's okay. Airtime was made by SourceFabric for a long time, and LibreTime is just the open source version of it.
Right.
But yeah, it's just freaking awesome the way they got it put together. They've got some big plans coming down the pike on how to integrate it into the Hive blockchain somehow. I don't know, where it's actually part of the blockchain or something. I honestly don't know how they're doing it, but it's just
let the tech wizards deal with it.
Exactly. I don't care how it works. Just tell me what's cool. Any more subjects?
Let's see. What do I have left? There's actually another platform that popped up called Storyfire. Did you ever hear about that one?
No. What's this?
It's a video platform that exists. I'll send you a link to it.
Well,
it's another centralized video platform. But they were pulling in a lot of the big YouTubers. So this was actually made by a guy called Mick Jugger Nuggets.
Jugger Nuggets?
Or at least that's the guy who's funding it. And he was bringing in like some real big creators. Like you've got Boogie, Keemstar, a bunch of other donut operators here. Just a bunch of other fairly big names. Some ordinary gamers, just fairly big names on YouTube, and they just all suddenly joined this platform. But it doesn't seem like much is really happening here. The problem it has with bringing new people on is you can't actually go and create a channel on here without getting approval.
Really?
Yeah, so right now it's sort of still in like a testing phase, but the fact that they could bring in all these big people pretty quickly, I don't know, maybe it'll be something, even if it doesn't end up having... even if the terms of service are just as bad as Parler, it still might be something. There's still definitely
What?
a spot for these centralized apps to exist, even though a lot of decentralized stuff is getting really good now. But
So
I don't know.
this this is centralized or is
Yes,
it decentralized? Okay,
it's centralized. Yeah,
I was just trying to figure out what the draw would be that
I think
the
I honestly don't know. It's sort of just YouTube, but I don't know what is supposed to be the big draw here.
well apparently the blaze button doesn't work, whatever that is.
Well, that's very useful, isn't it? But I went and made an account on here for both my channels just in case, on the off chance it takes off. Just so I can have my name actually owned by me. But I don't see it going anywhere because it sort of like with Parler where it got real big real quickly and then nothing really happened because everyone stopped talking about it.
Oh, blaze is blaze points.
Oh yeah, Blaze is there's a it's not a crypto, it's sort of like how Twitch works where they have the like Twitch points.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on it, but I don't really see it going anywhere. It doesn't really do anything that YouTube doesn't already do. And it's not
Right.
decentralized or anything like that. It's just another video platform like Dailymotion.
So it's just that's just the draw is another place to put your videos.
I think the draw is supposed to be that they're not going to censor people like YouTube does, but you can't really trust a random centralized platform to not do that.
Nope. I don't trust anything that doesn't show you the source code.
Yeah, that's a fair position to have.
Like I know what I'm doing when I'm looking at the source code, but it's if it's they're open about it, I'm more accepting of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, I know you saw the thing that I retweeted over on Twitter just before the show started.
You sell out.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't seen the tweet, basically I did a video on the Vivaldi browser and it got retweeted by the Vivaldi team themselves, and the video was called Vivaldi Explains Why They Make Proprietary Garbage. Which is, I love that I could get them to actually tweet that out themselves. That's honestly amazing. Basically, they posted an article talking about why they don't make their software completely open source, and I wanted to see like how badly I could title it, and I've managed to get their response from it, which is great. Because it's sort of a reference to an old DT video, because DistroTube did a video talking about how Vivaldi is proprietary garbage and why it's not actually open source. So I thought, why don't I just take that and mix that in and see what happens? And then someone made this beautiful image of me in a Vivaldi shirt and a Vivaldi hat, which is...
You made that your profile
it is,
picture.
yeah, it's now my profile picture.
That's awesome.
I did used to use this browser. It's a good browser. But it's not completely open source. The backend is, so most of the important stuff is, but the UI code isn't. So I guess if you're not a fan of that, then yeah. But yeah, apparently I'm a Vivaldi shill, and I'm going to keep this profile picture until I get bored of it.
I've honestly, tried Vivaldi once or twice, and it just didn't seem any different than Chrome to me. So why?
If you go into the settings, there's a lot of customization you can make, and that's sort of the big draw of it. So if you like messing around with how your browser looks and stuff like that, that's sort of why you'd use it.
Nah.
So what are you running right now? What browser?
Right now it's Firefox on my Ubuntu Studio and Brave when I'm on Arco Linux.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm running Brave as my main browser right now. As much as I don't like running a Chromium browser, I do like my internet money.
I use Brave on the phone just because it's the fastest thing that I've gotten so far.
Yeah.
I did find this one called Kiwi browser.
That rings a bell.
And so far, as far as I've been able to find, it's the only mobile browser that actually uses extensions.
All right then. That's yeah. I can't think of another one that has them.
And
Supports most Chrome desktop extensions. Huh.
Yep.
That. I don't know why this isn't normally a thing. That's actually really useful.
Oh, you can't even see it. But I've got the Hive keychain extension on it. I hardly use it, just because Brave is faster.
Yeah.
But that is just cool to have extensions on a mobile browser.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've never seen another browser that does this. There probably is one, but I can't think of one.
Firefox, Chrome, or Brave, not one of them uses extensions.
Nope.
And I don't know why.
I'm sure there's a reason for it. Maybe the speed problem is sort of why they don't do it.
It could be. But it seems pretty fast. I mean, would probably help if I had my Wi-Fi turned on.
That might. So, when you actually get your payouts of BAT from Brave, do you actually just let it sit there, or do you just not really care?
Let it sit there.
Okay, yeah.
Honestly, I like my Hive stuff. I understand the Hive power, and I try to put everything I can into Hive power. But
yeah,
outside of that and the BAT and the LBC, my LBC is still sitting in my library. I don't know what to do with it. Honestly, I don't know what to do with the crypto when I do get it. And my wallets they're just sitting in my wallets. I really I know with library I should probably go through and actually spend some on promotion and stuff, but it's like the Hive stuff. It's there.
Yeah.
Just accumulate. I've got no real need for it. I'm not in it for the crypto. I'm in it because I want to have fun.
Yeah.
And learn stuff. And eventually I will learn stuff, and learn what to do with it. But like I said, I'm not looking to make a payout with it. So
right. Yeah.
Fun. I think it's cool.
I'm enjoying this because I kind of want to be financially independent at some point, so I'm building up investments and stuff like that. So one day, hopefully, I can just be completely, independent of anyone else, which would be awesome.
That's a good long-term thought of it. But, like I said, I'm not looking to build a fan base. I'm not looking to build an income with it or, anything. I've always done it just because it's fun to do.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't be doing it for this long if you didn't find it fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just like driving truck to me. It's like it's fun, and that's why I keep doing it. So there's times that I really don't understand why I'm doing it, but it's like, dude, that's cool because every day I find something new that, whether it's on Hive or just crypto in general, that just totally blows my mind. The whole concept of the DApps or DApps, however you want to call them, is what really blows my mind. If I could get a computer and all it was on it was DApps, I would be happy because then I would never have to go to a website for this or that. I just open the app and there it is. I know about Beaker Browser and IPFS and all that. IPFS is cool, but it's slower than snot. I don't know if that's what DTube's problem is, but
I know BitTube has IPFS on the back end, so that might not be it. But BitTube's also tiny, so
I know DTube, your videos are only technically visible for like 7 days or something like that, and then they get put on the IPFS where it's if you're looking for older videos, it's a pain in the ass to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're uploading through IPFS, dude, it could take 2 or 3 hours to upload a video. And it's like, no, that's not right, dude.
Mhm.
But like on Hive, there's a D app called D Sound.
Mhm.
Used to be on Steam, but it's on Hive now. Dude, I can upload an MP3, one of my songs. I can upload that through IPFS, and it just boom, it's posted. And then I can go back on some other computer, and it's still there and it still plays, but it's still using IPFS. So I don't know if they're using some kind of magic juice or whatever, but
It might just be the other ones might just be using IPFS in a terrible way. I don't know. I wouldn't know how they're actually running it on the back end.
yeah, I have no idea either. So I just know it works.
Yeah. Well, I might take a proper look into Hive. I haven't really done much of a look. I just saw that it has the same sort of key problem that Steam has, so I was like, eh.
Well,
But
see, the major difference between Steam and Hive that I can understand, because I was never on Steam, because I've only been on Hive, because I joined right 7 days after the hard fork.
yeah.
And there was only like 4 dApps. And that was Hive.blog, 3Speak, PeakD, and like Pin Have You Been Here, Pin Maple or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. And then it's just exploded in the last 3 or 4 months. But from what I understand, the difference is Steam, there was a group of individuals led by Justin Sun that tried to take over everything and make it centralized. And like 99% of the developers, I guess, that's probably an exaggeration, but they already had Hive set up because they were going to fork anyways. And they just ended up forking. And the way Hive is that there's no CEO, there's no one central authority. Everybody votes for 30 people that you think should, make decisions, the major decisions, which makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
As big as of a network that it's going to end up being, that is set up like a governmental type representative system. But what the cool part about Hive is to me is that there's all these different dApps that you can sign into with one keyword or one key, one password, whatever you want to call it. And I can post a video on 3Speak, and my buddies that are over on PeakD all the time is going to see that video. It's going to pop up in their feed because they're following me. They're not following an identity on each website. They're following an identity across a network.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's what the coolest thing is about Hive. And I don't know if it was just a rumor on Twitter. I heard something about EOS or EOS or whatever, however you say it.
I believe it is.
And Ethereum or whatever. They're looking at partnering with Hive and making stuff work back and forth. But I don't know if that's true or not. It's a Twitter thing.
Of course, yep.
I have no idea. But if that is true, then if we can get all these different blockchains to work together, do handshakes, whatever you call it, and make all these dApps work no matter what crypto you're on, dude, that's mind blowing.
This is one of the biggest problems with all of these different crypto projects, that none of them are compatible with each other. It's like, we have this dApp ecosystem. We have this dApp ecosystem. We're all going to solve this problem by ourselves, when the real solution would be some interconnected network, like this thing that we have called the internet. You've probably never heard of it.
But before I got into to Hive and made a decision to jump on Hive. I was looking at all these things, and I Ethereum. I'm like, dude, this is gonna cost way more money than I could afford to do anything with. It's going to cost too much time, you know. And then I ran across Blockstack, and I'm like, dude, this got a lot of stuff. I joined Blockstack, and I'm looking at stuff, and I'm going through all their dApps, and I'm like, dude, this is sweet. They've got this, they got this, they got this. They even got a freaking email on Blockstack, a blockchain email. That's fucking cool. And then I'm looking at it for like a good month, and I'm like, there's like no activity. It's just the developers test post, test comment, test post, test comment, test this, test that. And I'm like, really? You guys got a podcast, you got a CEO, you got a couple of 2 or 3 YouTube channels, and you're all talking this up, but nobody's using it. And I'm like, it's not for me. And then that's when I made the decision, because Hive was looking good. I actually went through and I read the stuff on Hive.io about the statements and all that, and the open source and their policies, and I'm like, dude, this is for me. And that's where I'm at. And so far, honestly, when I thought that I was going to get into a bunch of internet marketers that's going to want to try to sell me stuff, want me to buy Bitcoin, or I was going to get into a bunch of bots, that's just going to be tweeting stuff. You see them on Mastodon all the time.
Of course, yeah.
The bots that the tweet that somebody's Twitter account mirrors it on Mastodon. I thought I was going to get a lot of that, and what I found is a lot of people that are actual real people that I'm talking to, and they're actually everybody I've run across, with maybe the exception of 1 or 2, have seemed to be genuinely interested in helping me to learn about Hive, how to use Hive, and how to write better posts, be a better person on the social network. And you don't even get that on Twitter. You don't get that on Facebook. You'll find people on Twitter that'll say your opinion's wrong. And there was, I'm not going to name names, but there's a rather large crypto influencer from Twitter that's on Hive too, that I made a post about ugly footers on a post. It's just geared towards content creators, because you see people on YouTube, Library, everywhere, they've got 3 lines of description and then 30 lines of this crypto link, this crypto wallet, this donate here, donate.
That's my description.
Well, I've got no problem, but there's a
better way to work. I guarantee. I completely agree with you. It needs some work.
That's what my point was. That there's Cointree, there's Linktree. You just point to that and make it shorter, and you can actually put some content in there. And people, if they're interested in donate, they could go to your Linktree or Cointree, whatever, and donate to you there. But this chick, crypto influencer, thought I was singling her out, and I wasn't. And it was just in general. And she was doing a live stream about how bad Hive was. And as soon as I tuned into the live stream on Twitter, first thing I see is my face in that post on screen, and she's saying my opinion was wrong. And I was just like, ugh. And I'd only been actually seriously posting on Hive for like 3 days at that point. She didn't know who I was or anything, but she said my opinion was wrong. And she since left Hive, because I guess there was some rather large whales that kept downvoting her.
that's my other problem I have with Hive. The fact that you can, if the whales don't like you, they can suppress you into oblivion. That I do consider that to be a pretty big issue.
That is a very hot topic in all of the Discord servers, and how to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll come up in a hard fork sometime.
Yeah, hopefully. I know there's been like sort of talks on Library about trying it out maybe, and I've just been saying do not do this. Like,
nope.
This is why Steemit has like the Steam bots. Like, there's a website that's just a list of all the bots, and that's how you do everything on Steam. Like, you do not want to get yourself in the same situation.
Right. I can understand the concept of the downvoting thing, but it should. I don't know how you would take away I don't want to say take away the monetary content, but if you could take it off of, get it away from ripping up somebody's reputation or whatever.
Yeah.
To where it screws with the person. It would make sense if, I don't know, the more of a whale you are, the less your vote means, so that it remains proportion to like an average user, where you can still get the monetary crypto, but your vote weight doesn't hold that much weight.
Right. Okay.
That's what I would see. That would make sense. So like, even if you're a whale and you've got 2 million Hive, just because you've got 2 million Hive power doesn't mean that you can upvote somebody really good and your vote weighs more than somebody else just because you've got so many Hive. That should be more proportionate to the time you spend on the platform, the interaction. Because there's people that just go buy Hive or Steam or whatever and never post anything, and they're a whale, and they can make you or break you if they don't like you. And that's not right. You should have, my opinion, you should have so much interactions and actual use of the blockchain other than monetary, trading or whatever.
Yeah.
You should actually be on there posting stuff. Like, they call me Dan. He's the investor, I guess, for 3Speak.
Oh yeah, okay.
But he's big. He's a whale. But he's also on the damn blockchain every day, all day.
Yeah.
And he's all on Twitter promoting it. But he's not there for monetary gain. He's there because he's wanting the blockchain to grow. And he wants freedom. So, plus he hates YouTube.
Well, yeah, that definitely does help, doesn't it? Well, I think that might be a good place to end off the show, because we've been going for a bit over 3 hours now, and I've got things I want to do for the rest of the day.
You're thinking, God damn it, I thought this was only going to be an hour. I didn't think you could talk like this.
No, I've done 4-hour podcasts before, so...
I was meaning me.
Oh yeah, no, I thought you would have been tired after doing your other show, plus it's getting a bit later there.
Oh, no. Dude, I get to talking about things that I want to talk about, and I don't shut up. I'm surprised that I'm still married after 16 years.
Well, hopefully next time I'm a bit less busy and we can go for as long as it happens. Right now I'm kind of in the middle of my uni semester and have assignments and stuff I have to get done, so I can't go 6 hours or something crazy like that.
Well, one of these days, if I can get, if you can get up early enough, I'll get you on my show.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I might change time slots. You never know.
Hey,
so
if you do, let me know. I'll be happy to come on.
Okay, cool. It'll be fun. Trust me. I'll bring all my trucker friends with me.
Oh yeah, that'll be an absolute shit show then.
Absolutely, it always is.
Oh Lord. So, do you actually watch much like YouTube content or content in general? Or do you just not have time? Or on Library or Hive or wherever?
I watch Library and Speak, Three Speak. YouTube is a search engine for me.
Okay, yeah. So is there anyone who you feel deserves a bit more attention than they already have? Any name you can think of off the top of your head. Just give me someone, I'll show them on the screen.
Nixie Pixel on, or not Nixie Pixel, I'm sorry, Pixie Post on Hive. She's on Three Speak. She's got a really cool, she does videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And I don't want to sound like an absolute dumbass, but she's a disabled person. I don't know if you call her disabled, but she's vertically challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to be cool. Pixie's awesome. Her name's Jen. But she posts some of the coolest, most uplifting videos talking about just being happy. And she does a kind of like a blooper reel at the end of all of her videos. They're pretty funny. Another one is PH 1102. He's on Hive also, but he does videos while he's taking his evening walk.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing the selfie stick thing and talking. And I'm not sure where he's from. Pixie Post is in Nevada.
Yeah.
Here in the States. And PH 1102 is Norwegian,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Or is it Portugal? It's in the European area. But he's cool. His name's Zoltan. Everybody calls him. And of course, on Twitter, there's Nathan Mars 7. He's just the biggest, baddest shrill for Hive. Yeah, I think he's actually a artificial intelligence from the future because he tweets 24/7. I don't think he actually sleeps.
Yeah, there's a lot of tweets in here. Well, that is awesome. I will be sure to check them out, especially when I do eventually try out Hive properly again. One hopefully comes up soon. Right now, it's just sort of don't have too much time to invest in trying out something new.
Right, I totally understand that. It's fun. It's different. It's just once you get into it, you get sucked into it.
Mm-hmm.
You start doing all the daps, and it's like, dude, this can be me. And I'll spend more time with the library if people will start making more daps.
Hopefully that does happen.
And I hope it does. I just right now it's just the way it's lean, and it's much more dependent on Library Incorporated.
Yeah,
and that's just not for me.
Yeah,
But
it'll be nice when it does happen, but I can see why you wouldn't be a fan of that.
But I got to get some stuff uploaded. I'll get some more stuff uploaded in the morning before I take off for the week.
As for me, I recommend checking out DistroTube. Great channel. I've been watching his stuff for a long time. He's on Library as well as YouTube. He's doing pretty well on Library. I'm slowly catching up to him, and then he got a big boost of subscribers, and now he's 2K above me again. So that's happening.
He's TT.
Yeah. One day I'll bring him on this show. That'll be fun. I reckon I could have a fun conversation with him.
Oh, I bet you could. I would love to hear that between you guys. That would be cool. I actually haven't seen him on anybody else's show.
He was on
Was it?
Big Daddy Linux a while back. No, Linux Spotlight, sorry. Like a year or so ago, he was on Linux Spotlight.
Is he still doing retail, or is he?
I think he's still in retail. He hasn't said anything about leaving it. But with how much content he puts out, he probably could leave if he wanted to.
Well, I know he was saying something. He had a video here a while back about he was on hold for retail or whatever.
Okay.
Because he didn't really pump up the content. But if he's making the YouTube money, he's still putting it out.
Well, I know how much
Pretty
he's getting on Patreon, so just that's enough for me. I think he's over 1,000 on that, plus the
Wow.
YouTube income. Which, if we go by my numbers, I reckon he would probably be in the realm of 2,500, 3,000 a month.
That's not bad.
It's
I could
definitely
do
not bad for doing what you love.
Yep. And I've got. You ever heard of Leo Moricelli?
The name's not ringing a bell.
He does Frog Leap Studios on YouTube.
Mhm.
Frog Leap, and he does like heavy metal cover songs.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
And the last time I looked was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. He was getting 4,000 a week or a video when he puts out a video every week, and that was just from Patreon, not counting what he gets from YouTube.
Mhm.
So he built a new house and a new studio with it last year. So does that tell you anything?
Yeah, well, online media definitely scales pretty crazily if you get in the high end, for sure.
Yep. Well, he does some very high quality stuff because he does own a recording studio. So
That'll help. Yes.
he is very good. He is astounding. Go check out Frog Leap Studios. You'll thank me later. If you're in the metal, you'll thank me later.
I definitely. I'll be sure to check that out afterwards. So, before we end off the show, tell people where they can find you.
Just look for Bonehead Media or Uncle Bonehead pretty much anywhere. Boneheadmedia.com. I'm letting it die. I'm just saying the hell with it.
Yeah.
The best way to do it, I guess, is Cointree, COINTR.ee/Uncle Bonehead.
Mhm.
And that's got all of my links for anywhere I'm at.
Cool. When is your MSP Waves show?
That is on 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock p.m. UTC time every Saturday, mspwaves.com.
Cool.
And it's streamed on Vim.tv, 3Speak Online, and Theta. I think they added Theta.
Okay, that's cool.
And there's also an audio-only stream if you just want to listen to the audio. So it works great on a phone. Get a transistor radio app off of F-Droid. Works really good.
Well, I'll be sure to leave links to all of your stuff down below. So if there's anything that you forgot about, just send me a link afterwards and I'll be happy to add it in.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Cool. So before we go, I would like to thank my supporters. So a special thank you to Joachim, Corbinian, Craig, Nathan, Andrew, Montezat, Joseph, Peter D. Rode, Tony, Donald, John, Marek, Mikkel, Spaghetti, Ties, and Silver. There's too many names on this list now. I probably should cut out the $2 tier. Also, if you're watching this on Library or YouTube, there's an audio version available on Anchor, which will link out everywhere you can find audio podcasts. So wherever you want to listen to it, I don't really care. If you're watching the audio version, as I said, it's available on Library and YouTube. And I have a main channel, which I upload properly produced Linux content. So, yeah.
Properly.
Properly produced. Produced, I will say, at all. So, yeah. I think that's everything for me, for us. I will play out what do you got there? Oh, you got the feed up, yeah. There you go. What are you listening on? Is that Antenna Pod?
That's Antenna Pod.
Thought so. Yeah, I'm using the same one myself.
I like Antenna Pod. Works pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty nice.
I used to use Dog Catcher.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know what it was. It just started bugging me. Every update they came up with just looked uglier.
Yeah, that's fair.
To me, on a phone, it's got to have looks. It's got to have eye candy.
Yeah, for sure. Antenna Pod, it does the job well enough. It's not perfect, but it's as good as I need.
Yep. It works.
Pretty much. So I will play out the outro then, I guess. Yeah.
Hello, friends.
That's the Joe Rogan podcast. There we go. Perfect.
It's the porn music. Thank you for listening to Pornhub.
Thank you guys for watching. That's how we're gonna end off the show, I guess.
Oh, sorry, I had to say it. I can't.
No,
I was like, don't do it.
no.
I was good.
The funk
I was going to
definitely
do it. At the
fits.
beginning. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I was like, do it before he goes. Do it. Do it. Before
Oh Lord! Thank you guys for watching.
Toodles.